Hi,
Hello?
I'm Lee, and I want to be in the sequel.
And I'm Nathan, and I'd rather be killed off.
And you're listening to
They're Here,
podcast,
a discussion
and disembowelment,
of all things horror
fear,
and the
macabre. So, The Shining.
The Shining. This is, the pantheon of horror. This is the Zeus of that horror.
The classic, yeah.
Directed by Stanley Kubrick.
Legend.
1980.
Based on Stephen King's 1977 novel of the same name.
Which we won't...
we won't go there just yet.
We won't go there just yet. We'll just...
Sorry, Stephen.
We're going to... sorry, but not sorry. But also sorry, because we do respect him, but...
Not that
maybe.
much, yeah. I respect the first 2/3 of his novels.
Also, just a quick note here. We do have a cat walking around, who's aimlessly walking around, I might say, for whatever reason.
He looked at you like, you're just going to call me out like that?
Yeah, he just looks up weird.
Put me on blast like
He's
this?
like, I hate you. Like, we're gonna let a lot of hate mail over this little guy just walking. So if you hear purring, or like if the microphone gets knocked over,
it's not me.
It's a cat being an asshole. All right, so
The Shining. What do we even begin to say?
Directed and produced by him. Mm-hmm. Assistedly written, I might say, because Kubrick obviously pushed the absolute shit to the max with this one.
Yeah.
Diane Johnson was the helper. They locked themselves away for months on end while scout teams went out looking for places. And it's just, when you talk about pop culture, this is the film where a lot of those pop culture references come from. Treehouse of Horror, 50 million. There was a whole episode based around it, and Here's Johnny is, the biggest fucking catchphrase you could probably think of.
And there's almost like a Joan Crawford, Betty Davis level feud between Stephen King and Stanley Kubrick.
Oh, God.
Like when it came to the production of this movie, I know Stephen King, it was written into the contract that he had to submit a screenplay for it, but it was not written into the contract that they had to use it.
And to this day, he disavows it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He 100%.
I know it eventually came around when Dr. Sleep came out that he was like, okay, I guess, because just blatantly Kubrick's vision for The Shining is just undoubtedly more iconic than they're inseparable.
The Shining is officially Kubrick's property.
It is. Most people, I feel wouldn't even consider
definitely.
it. Yeah, I feel like most people don't even associate The Shining with Stephen King.
At all.
No, not at all.
It's passing fancy, really.
Exactly. I feel like there's a small few of people who would have read the book before the movie came out that might do it that way.
Very small few. Let's be fair. Very small few, probably.
Yeah, and it was only really King's third book, But yeah.
But also, the film was it was a flop. It was panned when it first came out. This was Stanley Kubrick. He just came off of Barry Lyndon. So this is a film director who was bored.
He's bored.
He was just looking for something.
Coming off
The Shining
his
came
failed
in.
Napoleon movie with Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
So we kind of got their little relationship starting from.
Yeah. Jack Nicholson, of course, plays Jack Torrance. We have Shelley Duvall. I'm Shelley Duvall.
Icon. Hello. I'm Shelley Duvall, yeah. Icon.
Playing
Absolute icon.
Wendy Torrance. And then, of course, Danny Lloyd is Danny Torrance. But also a few others. You've Scatman Crothers, who plays Dick Halloran. Famous icon, Can we just talk about, those opening shots? You and me, we went to the Lighthouse, and I shit you not, this was the first time I'd ever seen it in cinemas. I've seen...
Stunning.
I've seen it on VHS. That was the first time I'd seen it. That tells you how fucking old I am. I've seen it on DVD. I've seen it in a HD remaster.
Yeah, same.
But by God, seeing that in cinema for the first time...
There's nothing like it. There really isn't.
The fear.
The idea of just being kind of surrounded, you're having that, a gigantic screen in front of you, and just having that big panning shot of what is supposed to be the Colorado Mountains, played by the Montana Mountains and Trails. Just with that.
Oh yeah, it's because it's a national park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that iconic score.
Yeah, and that was Dies Irae, but it was slowed down, extremely slowed down. And then of course you have the mixes in with Wendy Carlos and Rachel Elkin, who are the composers. Those kind of
high pitch, almost choral. Yeah.
Like, that's a fucking horrible way to put it, but, like, it was definitely something like that.
But it's almost choral. Like, it's, yeah, it sounds like there's a choir doing it, you know?
Yeah.
Very
Like,
kind
it
of
just
odd.
adds to, like, I think I even told you this earlier, is, like, it just adds to, like, the sweeping majesty and the sort of, like, the existential dread.
Yeah, to show, like, there literally
You know?
is nothing around.
Yeah.
We see, I always find it funny, there is one car that they pass on their way up, but, like, there's literally
Nothing.
just vastness. Just, like, completely
Forests,
nothing. Already kind of
everything.
setting up that, like, this is literally the absolute middle of nowhere. There's nowhere to go. Complete isolation.
That long winding car shot,
Mm.
you know, that vast open mountain range, which, by the way, is rumored. I don't believe it. I had long looks at those, like, excuse me, those sweeping, like, very long aerial shots, not just, like, looking down, but looking up at, like, the mountains themselves.
Yeah.
And supposedly Kubrick's face is airbrushed into the clouds. Now, I shit you not, I have, like, scanned that
The
shit.
rumor mill. Yeah.
And I have not seen, like, I've even seen, like, you know, those things where people, like, red circle shit around to, like, show you where
yeah.
shit is. I still can't see anything. Unless it's, like, airbrushed into the mountains, the side of his face or something.
And that's
I
kind
don't
of
know.
hinting at the conspiracies that follow this movie, which are almost
Which we'll sprinkle in.
yeah, they're almost just as legendary as the movie themselves,
Oh
as
my
people's
God.
theories and the readings that people have into this. But
yeah.
also, Kubrick did not film those shots because he's terrified.
No,
of
he
flying.
didn't. Yeah,
it's all
yeah.
second unit direction.
That's just, oh my god. But it still nailed it. No matter,
Nailed
like,
it.
what way it was, like, even if it wasn't him, those shots were beautiful. And, like, you can't, I mean, like, the cinematographers, John Alcott and Martin Kenzie, they were the ones who, like, framed, not necessarily because I know Kubrick framed most of this film,
Yeah.
but the
this movie
cinematography
was his
is
baby.
undeniable.
Yeah.
Is undeniable.
And these scenes to be recreated again in Doctor Sleep,
The
but
sequel,
at
yeah.
night, which I really liked. I liked the
Yes,
flip.
the
It's all done at
contrast
night.
of it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Definitely well done. Of course, the opening shots are of the iconic yellow car, meant to be red in the book, but we won't.
We won't
talk
go
about
there.
that.
Yeah.
It's a nod because it is a mini, so it is
Yeah.
being faithful, but they're just changing the color, and this probably set off, like, you know, King was probably sitting there and being like,
Arms folded.
"What are you doing?"
Yeah.
You know, it's just haunting. It is
Yeah.
absolutely haunting. And I always like, because the whole theme playing behind it is Dies Irae, and like, that's judgment. And, you know, it's just,
A score
I can
using lots
imagine
and
that, like,
lots of
we're,
movies.
like, either following the car
Yeah.
to where its destination is, or we as, if you interpret it that way, we as helpless viewers are being dragged along by the car.
Yeah,
So we're
exactly.
being dragged into the situation, which, again, reflects, obviously, Wendy and Danny's situation, because they are dragged
Exactly,
to
they're
this
kind
place.
of destined to it. Like, there's almost no way that they weren't going to end up in the hotel. You know, almost Greek tragedy in that way. Like,
It
it was
just-
fated for it.
Total engrossing creepiness to it.
Really,
Definitely
really
crazy.
stunning work.
Yeah, the ever-changing Overlook Hotel. That first, the aerial shot where it's first introduced it's the Colorado. No, it's
It's in
Oregon.
Oregon,
Oregon. So it's an Oregon
In
hotel.
Oregon National Park.
And of course, when you go into a closer shot, those are the shots you see in England. So
Yeah.
that's just a full exterior set. Actually, it's not even an exterior set. It's just the front of the hotel.
Literally.
Because, like, it's like what they used to do in those old westerns, where they would just be like,
It's literally just like a wooden frame.
it's just a
Yeah.
wooden frame.
No, I love it though. That hotel is stunning. Inspired by the Stanley Hotel where Stephen King was.
Where he wrote it.
where he
Exactly.
wrote it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is nowhere near as actually stunning as the hotel that they created for the Shrine, like the Overlook, what it ended up being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, the one thing I did think was really interesting was the fact that the outside, the exterior of the hotel continuously changes over the movie.
Yeah.
It goes from, I mean, of course, the establishing aerial shot, which shows you it is a fully laid out V-shape, pyramidal
lodge.
almost,
Yeah.
hotel.
Yeah, the architecture is crazy. Again, it kind of
And it changes again.
reminds me of Clockwork Orange again, with the kind of odd, like 70s futurism, like where this
Yes.
is what they thought would be like modern and stark, you know.
It's
And it is
just,
kind of weird because you see, like, the panning shot where we see the Overlook, it's just this like another kind of Kubrick reference. It's just this big monolith kind of in the middle of the mountains where there's absolutely
nothing else around.
And it's high up.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Also, the maze isn't there in the establishing shot.
No.
It doesn't arrive until Wendy and Danny arrive.
Yeah.
There's no maze there.
I
It's
feel like
just
that
the
kind of
inside
adds
of the
to
hotel.
it. Like, we'll get into that as we go along, but the inconsistencies to me feel intentional to kind of add to the whole, like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like the movie's like making you think that your mind is playing tricks on you.
Yes.
You know, that you don't even really realize until.
But it only adds. It only
reflect.
adds to like the existential. I use that word a lot.
Yeah.
Existential. And like it's this dreamlike quality where nothing really makes sense.
Yeah.
Like over a period of time, because I mean, obviously, like the whole situation disintegrates by the end. But like nothing, even from the beginning, they're just slight like little changes.
And I've heard that as a big complaint about this movie as to why people kind of
they arguably make it whether Kubrick intentionally or misintentionally
but it has
did
to be
it.
though. Like these things are huge set pieces that like would like definitely take a lot of effort to like move around or take in or subtract. You know,
Jack Torrance. I mean Nicholson's character just in the hotel.
Iconic.
Start,
like just
arguably his
defining role. It's kind
role.
of the thing that had him typecast for almost the rest of his life.
Yes,
It's,
actually, I didn't think of it that way.
Like he's the wild man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's the kind of loose cannon that you can never really tell what's about to happen. But just iconic. Yeah, iconic.
I mean, of course, like. I mean, we'll talk about it as we go along, but his mental state goes from... I mean, I even remember looking at it from the very beginning. Is like when he's at that reception, when he says he's looking for the manager, Stuart Ullman, he even says, like, when she says, if you just go around that left corridor there, you'll find the office. There. And he goes, oh, okay. And he goes, thank you. Yeah. And, like, it's just, like... I mean, I know he'd absolutely go batshit crazy later on, but, like, it's such... Whew, it's such a full 180.
See, it's weird. I know crazy. A lot of people also had the kind of issue with...
the range of emotion. Oh.
Yeah, a lot of people had issue with Jack Nicholson's kind of thing, that Jack Nicholson is almost crazy from the jump, that you can almost kind of see it. But I feel like a lot of people have just their perception of Jack in The Shining already before they watch this movie. You know what I mean? But I like that it's not just instant. Like, Jack is not always a dick. No. Do you know what I mean? No. He's an odd dude. He is an odd dude. He has some kind of like
definitely
weird little moments. But it's definitely like
I will say, like,
descent.
even I know I'm jumping ahead now when I think of like the way he treats Wendy before the hotel kind of starts setting in on him. Yeah. He's still, I mean, like, we'll talk about, but like he's a total cunt to her.
He is. He's so irritated by her. Yeah.
But like when it, like he's only respectful to people who are not outside the family.
Oh, for sure. Like, and it's like very, very small little ways, like which we'll get into when we get to it. But very kind of subtle. You know? Yeah. I like that.
And it's just little changes throughout the entire movie until suddenly you're like, wow, what? Yeah. Like, why? You know, like, it's just like the range of like acting ability that man has. We move into the first kind of conundrum that, like,
the interview.
Interview. It's just like there's a few things that, like, first of all, like, let's point that out there. The impossible window. Yeah. Like, it's literally just the first thing I want to look at, is because this is something I noticed, of course, by like reading into like YouTube conspiracy videos, and of course, like, it's hard not to mention Room 237 because I mean that's the documentary that just kind of sets off, like, because like you watch the film afterwards again, you're just like, holy shit, because
like
around that corner,
Room 237, it's kind of a thing.
If you have not watched it, watch it.
I highly
it's
recommend.
Crazy, watch it.
But it is weird because, like, most of the conspiracies that they have about, like, the people in Room 237 have a lot of, like, basis in there. Like, in reality, a lot of them I agree with, like, where there's actual tangible evidence that you can see that, like, okay, I see where they were going with this. Yeah. And then some are just completely off base. Some are completely off base.
Like, I mean, like, one person I think even references it to be, like, something about the Holocaust. I'm like, that's a bit of a stretch. And I know it's just literally just something to do with, like, the typewriter that Jack types on is a German typewriter, and it happens to be the same typewriter that was used in, like, Nazi Germany at the time. So, like, and also the color of the typewriter keeps changing for whatever reason. So again,
but I like that. I think that's that kind of just adds to the whole thing, that it's like I know so many people that have so many different readings of this movie.
Yes.
You know, like like vastly different readings of the movie, which I like. Even still to this day, there's people who theorize about things, and the movie is like 40 years old now.
Yeah.
You know, there's still no concrete evidence of
is it 40 years old?
This is 1980.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to do the math there for a
years.
second.
You should
40
know.
years. Jesus. Age jokes. You will hear a lot of them over the course of this shit, I tell you that.
You've really always been here.
I'm ancient. So like getting back to like that impossible window is the window itself. Like it's impossible to be there because the first thing you see as Jack walks around that corner, just behind that office wall, should be the inside of the elevators.
Yeah.
Because you can clearly see the elevators right there as you go around it. And when you walk into that room, the window is blinding white light.
Yeah.
There's nothing outside it apart from shadows of tree branches. It's just blinding
Yeah, there's
white
like
light.
small little plants in the back. We don't actually
Just
see through
what's
to it.
outside.
Yeah.
Exactly. We meet Stuart Ullman and
Barry, I think. It's kind of irrelevant because he
he never
comes
says
up
anything.
again. Yeah, he's just sitting there. He's just an observer.
He's that one guy.
Yeah.
He's that. That's why I think I said that to you earlier. Is when you're in the interview room for any job, there's always that other person in the room, apart from the interviewer, that just sits there and kind of like nods or laughs if you tell a joke, and just kind of sits
they're the
there.
one actually doing.
They're
the
one
testing.
that actually is doing the interview.
Yeah,
and like I'm fully convinced that this is like the nod that Stanley was doing to the first thing, which is like the theory about the moon landing. But I'll get into that later. I'll introduce that later.
The moon!
But like,
God.
we're just the conspiracy theories, darling. Oh, I love it.
So we then cut from the interview before it has actually properly started, and this is where we're introduced to Wendy and Danny. And Wendy is in
by Miss Duval.
Hi, I'm Shelley Duval. No, Wendy is in the outfit. I love it so much. It's that red
jumper, blue.
It's almost a red jumpsuit
thing
with like this big blue like apron over it.
Yes.
And her and Danny are having lunch and they're watching
thick cigarette.
I think they're watching Roadrunner.
Thick cigarette.
But she is smoking a cigarette right in front of Danny.
But also,
it's
this
the
is
70s.
The 80s.
Well, yeah, 80s. I love that though. There's so many scenes of her just like walking through the hotel, and it's like, God, remember smoking indoors? You know,
which we disavow. We disapprove and disavow. Deep enemy of the pod smoking.
Okay. So Wendy's outfit is just wonderfully camp. It's hard, and she actually wears those exact colors a lot throughout the movie. That red and that blue.
Yeah. Those are her like truly defining colors. I mean, like most of the time. There is this one I think in the scene where Jack is. When she goes into him, she's like wearing some orange thing. Yeah, I think. Although I'm not sure, I could be wrong.
And she eventually gets to
and he's eating the
overalls. Yeah,
he's just like chewing on this massive sandwich. And then we're introduced to Tony, of course.
We're introduced to Tony, and we kind of find out that they've been living in their current apartment for like about 3 months, and Danny has no friends. Mm-hmm.
He's a bit of a loner.
Yeah, we later find out it's because he's been taken out of school. But yeah, he has absolutely no friends. And apart from Tony, his imaginary friend, the boy who lives in the back of his mouth.
The boy who lives in the back of his mouth.
I've had some boys in the back of my mouth.
You could not hold yourself back from that. I know you could.
It's my job.
Wendy does say that, like, are you excited to go to the hotel?
Yeah.
And it's not Danny that interests. It's Tony is the one who says no.
Yeah. So we cut back from them having lunch, back to the interview in the middle of the interview.
Mm-hmm. Can I actually just sorry to interrupt you, but I literally just can't like think about this without it. As the entrance scene when Jack walks into the meeting room, the Ullman's office, the exact moment. Now this is room 237, so like if you think you're just gonna roll your eyes, bitch. But like I can't unsee it. It's a thing that I'm gonna ruin it for you now. Like the exact moment when their hands shake and he greets him in the room, the fax machine that's standing right next to his crotch shows and comes up as an illuminated, fully erect penis. Not even joking. Not a word of a lie. I cannot unsee that. every time I see that scene, I cannot unsee it.
That's
It's just this kind of whole...
more erect penises.
Yeah, but there's a whole sexuality thing going on in there. Don't lie.
No, see, that's the thing I do love. It's like, these are things that, like back in the day, you never would have noticed this. Like, ever. It's only kind of, like, in, like, years after The Shining came out, where people pick up on these small little details. Even, like, things about, like, the labels of cans in the background of the pantry.
Yeah. The calumet.
The calumet, yeah. And,
which we'll get into.
Small, tiny little details.
I mean, there's photographs of Kubrick in, I don't know if you've ever seen those books, but there's just one, it's just about the making of The Shining.
Yeah.
And there's a very specific photograph that you can see Kubrick arranging the calumet cans in a specific way. So it's like,
because
again,
it doesn't
you go back
fully
to that
read
argument.
calumet. You see, like, one can has, like, the first bit of it, and then,
end of it.
Yeah, you have to kind of, like, piece it all together.
Like, it's just... Again, like, you go back to that argument as to whether some of it was intentional, and then, of course, things weren't intentional.
That's always been my impression of Stanley Kubrick.
You'll get diehards, though.
If something is on screen, it's there on purpose.
Yes.
Like, it's been mulled over. Like, I heard even...
for months.
From Tom Cruise, when he was making Eyes Wide Shut, I heard that even up until then, literally up until Stanley Kubrick died, he was working on The Shining, trying to tweak it the right way. And this is years after it came out. But it's kind of almost just a personal thing. Like, this movie was his... baby, you know? Yeah.
Not necessarily. I mean, the bones of it were there, but total reimagining of it.
Good bones.
You know, it was his, the bones, the cheeks. Ullman...
Yeah, we go back to the interview. This is where we find out... Yeah. This is where we find out that Jack, a former school teacher, is now currently a writer.
Mm-hmm. He's currently a writer. Yeah,
he's currently writing.
There's Stephen King doing his thing. Where Stephen King.
Yes, there's a writer. The main character is a writer. Oh, this is one that I don't feel. This is one that I don't feel is an allegory for King himself, which is kind of a thing you expect from Stephen King. He almost interjects himself into everything in some way, shape, or form.
For sure. I mean, of course. I mean, there's the addiction to alcohol thing as well. I mean, it's not necessarily an addiction, but like, I mean, King was definitely into the drug culture at the time.
Heavily into the drug culture? Well,
I mean, what? He did Cujo on a weekend of coke, wasn't it?
Yeah, same thing with, I think it was Pet Sematary.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, or we get Maximum Overdrive. Oh, God.
Oh, my God. We'll get into that, too.
Prime time Stephen King nostrils are busy. Yeah.
So Ullman is, of course, describing the job to Jack, and he tells him rather reluctantly, but like he says, like, I have to tell you about the previous caretaker.
It's been known to put some folks off the job.
Yeah. So we're introduced to the character, which will show up later, Delbert Grady, who was the previous caretaker, and he went a little nuts. He went on a rampage.
Hacked up his family with an axe. Yeah.
Just nonchalantly.
Just a little colour.
And Jack does say that because of, like, he just said, like, the isolation thing, but Jack does reply saying it's not going to be a problem.
That's exactly what I'm looking for. 5 months of isolation. But when he's told this information about Grady cutting up his family, it pans to Jack's face, and he's kind of just like,
Exactly.
Like, he's not bothered at all. Like,
but also, this does foreshadow of what is attempted to happen later on in the film.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
we get like heavy exposition in this scene alone.
It's an exposition dump, you know.
We find out that the hotel was built in 1907. We'll find more information about it later. But we find out that the hotel completely closes down, completely shuts down for 5 months, and Jack's job is to
a caretaker.
Yeah, which he doesn't do.
No, Wendy does it.
Wendy does every single piece of work. Jack basically lives in the Colorado room, only writing and throwing balls. But Wendy completely takes care of everything. You know.
He says this won't be a problem. He's going to do it. Everything. And then we cut back to Wendy and Tony. Well, no, Wendy and Tony.
We get Danny having a conversation with himself / Tony in the mirror about the hotel. He already knows. Jack has got the job before Jack even calls Wendy.
With his finger up.
Mrs. Tarrant. Little smokery voice, which was completely improvised by Danny Lloyd on set.
I do think that was crazy. His acting abilities was fantastic. I will not fault him in any way.
That's just one of those really weird, like, creepy kid things. Like, I don't think an adult could have kind of thought of that.
Could have thought, yeah, exactly.
But
I suppose a child would need a physical manifestation of something like that. Like, I mean, technically, it's just his imaginary friend. Unless, like, there's something... I don't know. Is there something... I can't remember if there's anything in Doctor Sleep. Does Tony ever come up in Doctor Sleep again? I don't think so. I don't believe he does.
I'll have to look that up again.
Maybe, I think. I don't know. It's strange. But anyway, Danny does ask Tony,
yeah,
you know, why don't you want to go there? And Tony says, no, I don't want to tell you about it.
Yeah, Tony will not. Like, Tony won't give up anything.
Says, no.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
Which is kind of weird because it is an actual conversation between himself and his imaginary friend where we see that Tony is very reluctant to say why, and then he doesn't say why, he shows him why.
He shows him why.
And this is where we
He's
get...
forced
yeah.
to show Danny the horrifying images.
This is where we get our first glimpse of the elevator.
The iconic
elevator
moment.
Full of blood.
You know, usually the blood gets off on the 3rd floor. Moment.
Oh, wait, yeah. Going up? Yeah. Wow, we could just make so many elevator jokes here. So Tony won't reveal why, so he shows him this vision of the hotel where we get our first glimpse of the Grady twins, and we also have...
another also iconic image.
Yeah.
Blue dresses, cropped hair. Oh, come play with us, Danny.
What's crack,
that was
Alf? Yeah.
But of course they don't say anything, it's just an image. And
Yeah.
then of course, silent,
We get Danny
Danny.
screaming. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, like no
horrifying.
sound. Danny seemingly like just wakes up from this. Like we don't see him fall. We don't see
He
him
passes out. Yeah, exactly.
We get him already in bed with the doctor, like examining him. Wendy had called the doctor, and because he was apparently having a fit, like Wendy was saying, like you should have seen him, like you know, but we don't get to see any of that.
But we are glimpsed that towards the end, right?
Towards the end, but we
Yeah.
don't see him on the floor or
Yeah.
anything. We just get the quick cut from Danny screaming to him
yeah.
being awake. So the doctor is questioning when
She's
when he
also
wakes up.
unnamed. I will point that out. There's no
Reading
name
the
ever
credits.
mentioned. She's just unnamed doctor.
Just Ms. Doctor.
Yeah.
Doctor
No,
Chris.
seriously. I looked at the credits to find out. It literally just says unnamed doctor, and
That's her
the
first
actress
name.
who played her.
First name
Crazy.
unnamed, second name Doctor.
It was nuts.
Part of the Doctor family, yeah. So she's asking him about Tony, and Danny's like very kind of hesitant to...
We get another, dump of exposition.
Yeah. And Danny's very like evasive to the questions. He doesn't really want to explain anything. He does tell her though that Tony is the boy who lives in
the back of his throat.
in the back of his mouth, and he hides in his stomach. When he
my
goes
God.
away,
I
he
completely
disappears.
forgot about that. Yeah.
He disappears and hides in his stomach. So then they basically just insist that like Danny should stay in bed for the rest of the day, and then Wendy and it's such a weird thing. Wendy goes, "Shall we go into the living room?" And then they just walk into the living room.
I do want to point out, Shelley Duvall did get a Razzie Award for this,
which is bullshit. I don't give a fuck. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace.
It's a mishandling of fortunes, in my opinion.
No, it's completely fucked. It's completely fucked.
This is, of course, where the exposition dump of Jack.
Yeah, this is where we find out kind of why Danny isn't in school, why Danny has no friends, and it's kind of explained as to like this is around the time when Danny started talking to Tony. It was like right around grade school
when this happened.
Yeah.
Or sorry, not when this happened. He just started. Did he have Tony before or after the incident?
Like at the same time of, because he got pulled out of school when Jack dislocated his arm. Okay, we'll get to that now in a sec.
Yeah, of course.
The doctor assures Wendy that like nothing is physically wrong with Danny. It's just kind of self hypnosis that he brought on due to some kind of emotional trauma or whatever. But she says it only really occurs once. It doesn't really happen again with children.
Yeah.
She then questions Wendy about Danny and Tony, and Wendy kind of mentions that they kept Danny out of school because Jack came home one night. Very drunk, 3 hours late. Came home from teaching.
Kept a timepiece for it.
For real on TikTok. And where the hell were you? No. And Danny had scattered some of Jack's school papers all over the floor, and
calls it a mess.
Calls it a mess.
Yeah.
And then it's weird because she's kind of trying to play it off like it's not so bad.
It's almost defending it.
It is, but I see that's a lot of that reason why I feel like people look at her as kind of pathetic, which I think is bullshit. But I understand completely why people might think that, and you can even see that
evident later. But
yeah, but you can see that the doctor even kind of like recoils and is like, "How could you like let this happen.
Yeah.
Like she's judging the fuck out of her. Because at this point, oh god, not to get into like feminism or whatever like this, but it's like at this point the kind of role of wives and like women and stuff like that in the family had kind of changed. So this more modern doctor woman is kind of looking at Wendy as like you're like a woman of the past.
Yes.
Yeah, like she's judging the shit out of her. And Wendy kind of explains it off like, oh well, the good thing is that like after that happened, Jack promised that he wouldn't have one more job. He said, Wendy, if I do, you can leave me, and he hasn't since. Now we're here. I didn't even incorporate it until rewatching again, that it's like Danny's been out of school for like a long time. Like that's why Danny is kind of really awkward. He hasn't been socialized with other children. That's why he doesn't have friends. That's where Tony comes from. Yeah, and this woman is judging the shit out of Wendy.
Oh yeah. It's also something that I did notice later on, because Jack, when he talks to Lloyd the bartender, he does say, not exactly the same words, but he does say something that's extremely similar.
Like they have a story.
They have a story prepared, or like they were talking to a shrink, and a shrink was like, this is how you should explain it to people. Yeah. And I was like the parallels that I see in the both of them, I mean, they're completely opposite to each other, but the parallels are very similar. Yeah. And like
I feel terrible for Wendy.
Wendy sees it in a positive way. Yeah. She's like well,
she sees,
and it won't happen again because he was an alcoholic and now he's not. 5 months, I think said. Yeah. 5 months he's he's no longer alcoholic, he doesn't touch a drink. And then Jack sees it in the complete opposite way. We'll talk about it later on. But he sees like this whole situation in the opposite way. Exactly.
Yeah. And like what I do, I literally haven't read the book in probably 10 years, but what I do remember from it is the reason Jack loses his job is that he assaults a student. So like,
of course,
we have
symptoms.
I suppose, kind of like past evidence that like Jack is already a violent person. At least like when he drinks, you know. But
Tony does foretell that Jack will get the job.
He already has.
She gets a call. Yeah. And then they pack up and they hop into the car on their way to Colorado.
And then we get the like heavy horn.
It's a day of judgment. That's the horn that I don't imagine like light trumpets.
Like Gabriel.
I imagine the earth shaking,
the clouds
parting, and you just hear this
deafening.
Oh, it's that's insane. The sound I hear on a day of judgment. That's what I dread.
It makes me feel like primordial, like pre-human, like
pre-Christian, pre-pagan,
old god stuff.
Old, very that.
So once we get this score, once we get this sting in the score, we get we cut back to the Colorado mountains again, played by the Montana Mountains,
uncredited.
With that, and we're back with the Torrances in their little yellow bug, and Wendy brings up the Donner Party, and Jack is kind of like,
again, another like foreshadowing moment. Yeah, you know, they go. In case you don't know what the Donner Party is, it is explained. In the movie. What is it?
Covered wagon time. They were settlers back in the day.
But they froze to death. Or no, they didn't. They just went in the wrong direction. They froze, and they had to eat each other. So they killed each other. Their family, and they killed each other.
And Jack says the word cannibalism, and Tony and Danny's like,
we're indistinguishing the character.
Ate each other up. Yeah. And
they ate each other up.
He's like, don't worry, Dad, I saw it on the TV. And Jack turns 20 and he's like, see, it's fine. Saw it on the television. Yeah. Then we finally get to the hotel, and this is basically where their fate is sealed in a way. Yeah.
Sealed horribly. Because we still get that establishing shot of the overlook. If I may point out something here, the transition fade from the establishing shot of the hotel to the inside entrance hallway, kind of reception area of the hotel, where Jack is seated waiting
by himself, reading a Playgirl. Jack is reading or is looking at male porn at like naked men. That's what a Playgirl is.
So I just want to point out that there's a very, like, it was pointed out to me in a weird way, and I just can't stop thinking. It's another thing that I can't unsee, is that very slow fade between the exterior of the hotel and the interior hotel. See, my cat's getting interested now. My cat's opening up going, who? Between the exterior to interior, of course there's forests
Yeah.
Well, slight forest. Again, the maze is not there. There's slight forests, and there's a transitional shot. Very, very, extremely slow fade. Excruciatingly slow.
Yeah.
Like my point arriving. Read myself here.
I just looked at my non-existent watch over here. Yeah.
And there's a janitor who happens to be sweeping away.
Yeah.
Or mopping. I think it's mopping. I'm not sure. But the establishing slow fade shot makes it look like the janitor is clearing away the forest.
Yeah.
Now, this is another allude to what we were going to talk about, because it is mentioned in the actual
This is actually
script.
where we get that interview.
Yeah.
Or not the interview. This is actually where we get that piece of exposition where we find out that when the hotel was built, that it was met with lots of native resistance, that they were
Native
the
Americans
construction was
fighting
attacked.
back. Exactly.
And that it was built, this is where we get it
On a Native
outrightly said.
American. It was told
built on Native
right
American,
there in front of you, black and white.
It was built on Native American
Burial
soil,
grounds.
on burial grounds. Yeah.
It's fucked up, man. Fucked up.
Yeah.
But this kind of motif, because we do get the whole kind of tour, and it's continuous shots.
Yeah,
it's
and we get everybody
shots.
packing up. We see everybody
We
leaving the
see
hotel.
everyone leaving
The
because
staff
it's the
leaving
last
for the-
day.
Yeah.
It's the last day, and everyone's leaving because so basically
Everybody's
they're
in
taking
quite
on
a
each
rush
other.
to get out of here. Yeah.
They are. They're like, because there's always that fear of like suddenly the snow might hit. I mean, they all arrive at the hotel. It's the last day of the season. Everyone's packing away and they get ready to leave. And essential maintenance of being done.
Yeah.
So it's just all one continuous shots, which I love. It's Kubrick establishing pace, where everything is in the film, because he literally takes you from the maze to the front of the hotel to the snowcat and then back to the inside of the hotel. So this is of course where we obviously see the first time the maze, because in the establishing shot before it, it's not
twice,
there.
Yeah. This is what we see while the tour is still going on. Jack and Wendy are off on the tour. We get Danny in the games room. He's playing darts by himself.
Yes.
And this is where we get our first kind of hint at supernatural. With, I guess, where we see the Grady twins finally. And they don't say anything. And Danny you can tell he's kind of creeped out, but he has less of a reason to question it because everybody's still there. Not everybody's left yet. They stare at him, and then they just turn around and leave.
This is where that white noise starts to happen.
Yeah, this is where we get the indication that the shining is happening, which is like a high-pitched, like, I can't even do it. Yeah. So manly and
but
masculine.
it's very grainy. It's not like it's not ethereal. It's very just grainy.
It's like the sound of
white
the ringing that would
sound.
be in your ear after a big explosion.
Yes, exactly. That's how I would describe it.
A ringing, high-pitched noise.
I do want to point out something that I thought was very interesting is on the top left corner of the screen, which is the shot of the twins in the doorway, you see a poster for skiing.
Yeah.
Now, this was established in the interview that Jack would ask, why don't you guys do skiing? Seems like the perfect place. And they said no, because it would be horrible. You'd be isolated, the roads be cut off, it'd be too expensive to keep. So that's why
it's too expensive to keep the roads open. Yeah.
So again, this is the whole kind of, is Kubrick putting it in there for a reason, or is he just, not the best?
Again, it's one of those things where it's like, it could just be there because it's a ski lodge, because it's a lodge up in the mountains, but also, again, I feel like
ski lodge.
But I feel like everything with Kubrick is intentional. I feel like nothing is there just by accident,
and can be
or by
left open
happenstance.
to interpretation.
Yeah. I feel like this is like The Shining is almost a big fuck you to movie audiences.
It's totally that. It's completely that. But I do want to stress that an interviewer in Room 237, I'm going to name drop that bit, just point out that the skiing character in it has very thin legs and very big stocky build. So they do. She makes
fat shaming
reference.
skiers now. Whoa.
She
Someone
does
skipped leg day.
reference.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Let it go, bitch.
When a big fan of leg workouts in the 20s, huh? Yeah.
Just want to point out that she did say it does rather look like a minotaur, because it does. It's very suggestive of it, and it does come into play obviously because there is a maze there, and that does it comes
Labyrinth,
into,
all
of course,
this.
Labyrinth,
Yeah.
all of that. It does play into it later. So if then, Danny sees them and, the Grady Tins just,
They just
waltz
walk out.
on after there.
They just leave.
They're just
And
like,
then we
"Meh,
get to the
not interesting enough."
we get to the gold room. We get to the ballroom.
Oh,
And Wendy
beautiful.
says they're like, pink
Gorgeously
and gold are her
decorated.
favorite colours, which gross, like nasty.
but it is gorgeously decorated.
It's gorgeously
If I
decorated.
was to have a soiree, that would be a soiree I would have there. For damn sure.
I guess if you like
Oh!
ugly, if you like ugly rose.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and this is where we're introduced to Dick Halloran.
Yes.
Yes,
The
Scatman Crothers.
he's definitely, if there was an actor, I mean, besides Jack and of course everything, like Crothers is is an actor that like
He suffered second most to Shelley Duvall in this movie.
yeah.
I've seen interviews where he cried speaking about this movie, where like what is it, like over 100 takes.
That's
on
actually
one
something I was
scene.
going to talk about later. Cause
And
I
it's
have
like,
that.
Jesus. But I've also heard that like again, it's kind of, it's such an excellent movie that it's like the payoff is almost worth it, but then it's like God.
Mhm.
And like I love Kubrick, I like Worship at the Altar of Kubrick, but it's like
We worship the diva.
fan of dolls. Yeah, Kubrick is one of the dolls. No,
No, Kubrick is a diva.
Kubrick,
we would worship some dolls, but Kubrick is a diva. Let's be fair.
It's one of those things where it's like everybody seems to recall, everybody is happy with the finished result. Everybody that worked on the movie is happy with the finished result. But I know that Shelley Duvall has said that, like, yeah, she's forever grateful that she did it, but she'd never want to do it again.
No.
Like,
God, no. I mean, he
fucked
tortured
her
her.
up.
He mentally, physically
Had everybody on set
ignore
just give her the
her,
cold shoulder.
bully her in a way. And
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson was told, like, no, don't.
Yeah, and he
don't
said that was
fucking
one of
deal
the
with it.
hardest things. He has
It's
to do
so
on set,
hard
was
because
ignore
Jack is a
her.
very strong. Can you stop moving around? The cat is moving around on me. Jack is like, I even seen these. They appeared on Instagram randomly one day, and it was these kind of like tidbits.
Yeah.
Tidbits. There were these tidbits of shots from the behind the scenes, and Jack Nicholson.
Just him, they're like jumping up and
There's
patting himself for
that,
that. Yeah,
and he brushes her aside.
yeah.
He brushes her aside in that shot, and I was like,
And there's a couple of shots.
whoa.
I think that's the it's the documentary that came out about Kubrick himself.
Yes,
where we
I have
see
yet to
the
watch
kind of
that.
behind the scenes. It's great. It is great. We see kind of behind the scenes of Kubrick is just giving shit to Wendy, and she's or not to Wendy, to Shelley, and you can kind of see that she's like, but I'm like I'm trying, and he's just like he's just completely cutting her off, and like, oh, I don't know.
you see, it draws a very thin line, and this line is crossed even to today's standards. Let's be fair, it is crossed a few times where people, like back in the day, of course, it was very lax. Those kind of works. I mean, SAG.
Kubrick would have been Me
SAG
Too'd
was like
now
invented
if it was
very
happening
much
now.
after this, like because Kubrick would not make it today's standards because
No.
of like how
Kubrick would be
cruel-
cancelled in a minute.
in a minute.
Yeah.
And like to think that this was like not necessarily normal practice. I mean, Kubrick was
Like
the
this
god
in
of
particular
directorial
stands out kind
debuts.
of above everything else. That it was widely accepted by the whole crew that, like, okay, everybody kind of just treat this lady like shit and
Yeah.
ignore her and make her feel isolated, even in a room with like 100 people. You know, it's like just
It's fucking
break her
horrible.
down, break her
Horrible.
completely down.
And like, I mean, by the end of it, I think she even said she was like dehydrated, that she couldn't cry anymore.
Oh fuck yeah, she had no tears left.
Like, I mean,
So you
to
can see
be
that
able to
towards the end of
say
the
that
movie where
you,
her eyes are just raw
Oh my
red.
God.
Her eyes are so puffy. She's like out of breath.
oh my god,
Can't even speak.
she just everything is screaming.
Yeah.
Everything is screaming.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think I even said this to you. I think she has the least amount of lines, but everything else is crying or screaming.
Yeah.
Everything.
She's my
Apart
favorite character in the
from
movie.
Maybe like if you put her lines together, you might make up half a page of dialogue. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It is actually almost a silent movie. Not really a silent movie, but like once it cuts to after they've been there for a month, it's a very, very quiet movie. Like the score is kind of the
Almost non-existent in parts, let's be fair.
like it's almost completely silent, which just kind of adds to the whole
Dread.
yeah, and the Kubrick
Like,
thing of
atmosphere
everything
of
being
it.
sterile and cold and stark, you know, like it's not a comfortable, it's not a warm movie whatsoever.
No, by no means.
And it's one of those movies, I've said this to you before, that like once you turn it on, you almost don't even blink when you're watching it.
But the whole way through, exactly, yeah.
Like you give the Kubrick stare, you just like
jaw
stare.
Open, you know, hitting the floor.
Yeah. Back to Dick Halloran.
Back to this guy. So, you know,
he brings Wendy and Danny to the kitchen to kind of acclimate them to the whole thing, and then brings them to the pantry.
Can I just say here, before I continue, Dick Halloran, right, of course, he has the shine. The shinin.
Yeah.
It's almost like I do want to point this out, like, it almost feels like Dick is bringing them through the place where eventually Danny would escape from Jack.
Yeah, I think it is very important that he takes them away. He takes them away from
Wendy where to lock Jack up.
Yeah.
He even points to the locking mechanism.
Yeah.
Before they walk in.
But I also think it's kind of important to note that he doesn't bring the entire family. He only brings Wendy and Jack. Or he only brings Wendy and Danny to the kitchen. Yeah, so we're going through, he's explained there's 12 rack of lamb, and blah, 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 blah. There's all this food, like, and lots of relish. There's a whole, like, shelf.
There's, like,
just
tubs
relish.
of ketchup where it just, and mayonnaise as well. And I'm just like,
cornflakes, Cheerios.
No, you're fine.
Yeah. So then, this is where we get the first time of Dick calling Danny Doc, which is the nickname that Jack and Wendy have for Danny.
But she doesn't recognize it just yet.
She doesn't recognize it just yet, and he calls him Doc 2 or 3 more times before Wendy kind of like questions it. So then after this, Wendy notices and asks how Dick knew how to call him Doc, and explains
Dick
that
had to call him Doc. Tongue twister.
Yeah, so he calls him Doc. Wendy's kind of like, well, how did you know that we call him Doc? And he's like, oh, I must have heard you say it. And she's like, no, I don't really recall calling him Doc in front of you. And then he's like, well, doesn't he look like a Doc? And then does this little
what's up, Doc?
Like, yeah. Remember Bugs Bunny? So yeah, Wendy notices and she's like, you know, I don't really recall ever calling him Doc, like, in front of you. And then it's kind of just explained away. She doesn't really think of it anymore. But then we get to the pantry where we get Dick and Wendy are talking, and then it kind of just trails off. Where, like, we still see his mouth moving, they're still talking, but then we get our first, we get the high pitched noise, the ringing. And this is actually so creepy when he kind of just turns to look at Danny and his mouth isn't moving, but we hear, "Want some ice cream, Doc?" Oh, it's so creepy. And we get the kind of we get like a drop in the score as well.
Yeah, it's almost like Danny suddenly dreads the explanation,
like,
to
shit,
what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's more than just me.
Yeah.
So yeah, then they go into the kitchen. Wendy and Jack just leave their child with a stranger, and they go off, like, arms around each other's backs and shit, and they just leave. And Danny and Dick go to get some chocolate ice cream. So then he explains to Danny how he knew how to call him Doc, and he explains that him and his grandmother had a relationship when they were younger where they could talk without ever opening their mouths.
She called it shining.
Yeah. Oh.
And then, like, it's almost like, I don't know, like, how did he explain it? He starts talking about, Danny brings up the hotel.
Yeah, he starts asking,
what you can do.
And he starts saying
like
that
I can't remember.
Tony tells him not to talk about it. And that he describes it like, he describes The Shining like having a dream, where he's shown things, like what we saw where Danny was in the mirror, like they're like a vision almost. And then Danny asks if Dick is scared of the hotel, and Dick explains that the hotel can, like, basically shine. It has a property where it can kind of, it's not like other buildings. He says, like, some buildings are like people, some can shine, some cannot.
Some don't.
And then Danny asks if there's something bad in the hotel, and then we kind of get Dick being a little bit more like, okay.
What do you mean by that?
And Dick compares the bad things. He plays
the dummy, like, he pretends like he doesn't know.
Yeah, he doesn't want to feed into it. He doesn't want to give Danny any kind of, he wants to keep him, like, just at arm's bay. He wants to, like, let him know what this is and how to use it, but not enough that he can just, like, kind of run rampant with it.
Yeah.
And then Dick compares the, like, these things that Danny sees in his head, or
to memories.
to memory is
They're
like a
not
picture
real.
in a book.
Like a picture in a book.
Or
that's
sometimes
it.
when bad things happen, sometimes people, they leave a trail behind, like burnt toast.
Somebody burns toast. Exactly.
Like you can smell it in the air. It doesn't mean it's still there, but there's traces of it still there afterwards. Yeah. So then Danny asks about room 237, and then Dick is like, "There's nothing in there.
Yeah,
don't go in there."
He goes from like Shannon to you don't need to know. There ain't nothing
Stay
in
out of
room
there.
237.
Yeah.
So stay out.
Which is basically the worst thing you can say to a kid when you don't want them to do
because
something.
exactly.
It's to be like, "Don't go in there." No, you can't go in there.
You discourage them. You don't tell them not to.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Like, I mean, this, to me, this is where the dread... because, I mean, apart from the establishing shot of... I mean, like, you could explain away the twins as just being hotel guests for randomly. But apart from the elevator blood scene, you don't necessarily associate that immediately with the hotel.
No.
But, like, as soon as he says, "What's wrong with the hotel?" and he asks about room 237, you immediately get the sense that you're like...
It is on.
Something, yeah.
Like, the ball has started rolling.
Yeah,
It's this is where the spiral starts to happen, like very, very slowly. So then we get a title card a month later, and we just
the
cut.
jump.
First of many jumps, we cut. Nobody's around. It's started to get a little bit darker outside. It's a little bit more bleak. Things still haven't really like gone to shit yet at all. But so we see Danny. He's on his trike. He's going around the hotel for the first time. And we just follow him around a little bit, and we get that. Like, I love the sound of the wheels.
I was just about to say that.
The wood, and then the carpet, and then the wood, and then
silence.
the carpet.
And now when I say silence, I mean when he is on that wood floor, you can hear the scraping, heavy turn of the trikes. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, when he goes across the carpet,
nothing.
Silence. I mean pure silence, not even like an echo of the carpet.
So that's the kind of whole thing about The Shining.
And it's
like,
multiple
it feels
times.
like a lull where it feels like you're kind of just being drawn. Yeah, it almost feels like you're being hypnotized by this movie.
Yes.
Like, The Shining is not a movie that you just have on in the background.
No.
If you're going to watch The Shining, you're going to watch The Shining.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But of course, this is the one where he does just the first run around of the Colorado Lounge.
Yeah.
Now, this is something I wanted to point out about, because in the Colorado Lounge, there are extreme amounts of Native American architecture, art influence in that room.
We've told it's Apache and...
I was going to say Comanche, but I don't think it's Comanche.
No,
I think
it's not
Apache.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to say... Is it Navajo?
It is Navajo. It's Navajo. Yeah.
Of course, yes, of course, above the fireplace, there's the large drawings. Now, I don't quote me on that, but I'm not 100% sure. This only feeds into the first theory that the film is about the genocide of the Native Americans.
Yeah, which I think there is very, very strong evidence to support this.
Well, number one...
By that it's actually said out loud.
In a Native American burial ground.
Yeah.
There are influences of...
Which is a trope Stephen King will use again.
And then, in the pantry room, just by Dick Halloran's head, as he begins, because it's a close-up shot, it's getting closer to Dick.
Yeah, like we see Dick from Danny's perspective. Yeah.
And just behind... or rather next to, on the left side of Dick's head, just right next to his ear actually, is a picture of a Calumet baking soda can.
Yeah.
You can see
which moves.
It does move several times.
Yeah.
And multiples actually. There's one just by Dick's head at that time. And it does point directly at Danny. Now, Calumet is a word that they use for peace pipe. Right? So it's a peace treaty. It's being truthful. It's being shown in front of you that Dick and Danny are... There's the things again. Dick and Danny are being very truthful and open with each other. Yeah. Being peaceful. Now that, of course, does change later on, which I'll get back to. But going off on that tangent, the blood of the elevator. I mean, it's just... I mean, it's clearly rising up out of the ground, and it just spills forth. Now, it doesn't open completely, but it kind of spills forth.
It just comes, like, in front of one of the doors, like, off to the left.
So, like, it does infer that whole kind of the ghosts, the blood,
built on the blood
the
of natives.
The blood of natives, and it is spilling forth. It is taking itself, and it is showing these people this is what happens.
We're actually going to find in King's sequel, Doctor Sleep, that the building itself is almost kind of irrelevant. It's the land that it's built on. We see the True Knot eventually park up and set up shop in, like, on the ground where the Overlook existed once. And yeah, like, it's a powerful area of land, you know?
They can sense it.
Yeah. So we get Wendy doing her first of many tasks that are not even her job. She brings Jack 2 sunny side up eggs and some bacon. And they're kind of talking, just like general chit chat.
Through a mirror, I might add.
Through a mirror, again, first of many times we see Jack through that one particular mirror.
It's almost like it's revealing him.
Well, yeah, I've heard like little like kind of allegories like to that. So then we kind of get like general chit chat. We get Wendy kind of asking Jack to bring her on a walk, and he's kind of like, "No, I should really do some work and blah blah blah. I should just really get back into the swing of it." And she's like, "Yeah, hon, that's all it is. You just gotta get back into the swing of it." And this is where we get his first little bit of tension, where he's like, "Yeah, that's all it is." Blah blah blah. Like kind of giving her, which I don't even think she kind of senses. I think she's just kind of is whatever. So then she brings Danny. I don't know. Oh yeah, so they continue on. Right? Yeah, but they continue on their conversation where Jack says that he's never felt happier or more at peace in a place. But he says that he feels like he's always been there, and that he knew what was about to happen and what was around every corner, like even in his interview. Which is our first hint that Jack also can shine.
Strange how it has such a positive effect on him in the beginning and such a negative on Danny.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, so then Wendy and Danny go to the maze. This is our first like proper introduction into the maze, where we go into and we see the actual scale, the actual size of the maze.
I actually just thought of something there because Wendy's character does make reference to they do a little bit of a race to the front of the maze.
Yeah.
And she does say loser has to keep America clean.
Oh, yeah, I love.
And of course, if you are familiar with that, this also does feed into the genocide of the Native Americans.
Yeah,
because the ad "Keep America Clean" was of a highway and someone chucking a load of, I think it was just trash, at the feet of a Native American who starts to cry, and like it's just these little tidbits that just keep coming out that kind of. It really does like tell you more and more, and frightens you more and more.
Yeah, the one theory that I think actually does have solid ground is that theory with the Native Americans and the genocide that occurred there.
Oh yeah,
because I think it's the one it's not subtext; it's subtext made text.
Yes,
like it's very blatantly said. I think everything else is kind of just theory, but this is the one that I kind of like would strongly agree with.
Yeah. It's more grounded in reality than the other theories.
Yeah, we won't even go near the moon landing just yet.
Yet.
That's
big finger up there, yet.
And this is also accompanied by another gorgeous piece of music. So we get Jack throwing the ball and procrastinating for the first time, which we'll see him do again and again throughout the movie. But then we get he walks over to a model of the maze, where we then zoom out to see. I actually wasn't sure if it was a matte painting or if it was a miniature.
So I actually do know how this started. You do at the center of the maze where Danny and Wendy are sort of aimlessly walking around the center of the maze.
Yeah, they're just walking around.
That was shot at the top of a building.
Yeah,
was built. That was a set that was built at the top of a building. All Kubrick did was he shot his thing from a higher building, and he shot downwards at what was going on. And all he did was he superimposed a matte painting of the rest of the maze.
Yeah, because the maze is impossibly big. When we see it, it's ridiculously big. It is like a labyrinth, like a very like Greek mythological labyrinth.
Oh,
it's giant, gigantic.
Another theory.
No,
storyline.
It's huge. It's massive. But then after that, we get another title card. It's Tuesday.
I love it.
It's Tuesday.
Love it.
So this is where we get the warning on the news for the storm, the approaching storm, which again kind of adds to the whole impending doom. Like something is on its way. Exactly. Something is on its way. It's not here yet, but it's coming.
It's coming, definitely.
And now this is where we see Danny get back on his trike for the second time, where we finally get the iconic hexagonal, the brown, yellow, or the brown, white, and the orange carpet. And this is when he first passes room 237. And it's closed. There's no key in the door yet. But we also get a flash of the Grady twins, another flash of the Grady twins.
As he passes by them.
As he passes by. And this kind of is giving him like small inklings into like what could be there.
Yeah.
And then he kind of just, again, passes it off.
I do want to say that this is where...
we see this in his mind, of course. Sorry.
Exactly, we see this in his mind. I do want to say that this is where the whole sort of start of the moon landing theory begins.
Yeah.
Because 237. Now, Kubrick, it was known that Kubrick did change the number of the hotel room from, I'm not sure, I can't remember the original number.
I think it's 217 or something like that.
217. Yeah, it's 217. And he changed it to 237. Now, the first bit of evidence that people point to is the number itself.
Yeah.
All right. So the distance, right? Now, this is where it gets crazy, y'all.
Yeah.
The distance to your rocket ship.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, oh.
This is where it starts to get a little nuts. So I'll only tease it out now because it's very obvious later on in the film. 237,000 miles exist between the moon and the Earth. And that to me, when I'd read that, and I was like, wow, fuck me. The man is like messing with my head. Yeah. I just point that out. Sorry. I'll talk about the rest of it later, but my God.
I also saw that, I think it is 217 in the book. Again, I haven't read it in a long time. But...
since you were like an amoeba.
Yeah, I was 12. No.
And I was like only 40 at the time.
Yeah, senior citizen by that time. No, I heard that Stephen King.
I look like the skeleton from Indiana Jones in the
Crypt
Last
Keeper
Crusade.
with a beanie on top. Yeah.
At the time of this recording.
I heard that it was because the hotel that Stephen King based it on didn't want it to be associated with that, which I think is just kind of bad marketing because they obviously weren't into. They didn't have any true crime, any horror fans. Because exactly, like if I was to go to a hotel now and they had a room 237, I'd want to stay in room 237.
Stay in that, yes.
You know? Like I have the that's on my keychain.
You have the keys, of course. I'm so jealous of that.
I also have a Twin Peaks one as well, but like whatever. On a Hotel Cortez. Next scene, we get Jack typing very, very loudly in the Colorado room by himself, and Wendy comes in. Sweet little angel Wendy. Basically just checking up on Jack, seeing how he's doing, asks, oh, maybe, later you'll let me read some, huh? And I'll come back with a couple of sandwiches for you then. And Jack is basically just like, yo, go fuck yourself, wife. I literally hate you. He's so rude to her. Like, he's so rude to her. And this is where we can kind of first see Wendy kind of break down. She like shrinks into herself. Her voice gets real small. She gets very mousy. And yeah, he basically tell her to fuck off.
This is where I know Kubrick is trying to make it as blatantly possible that there is a shift in tone between, just say, like a month later. Yeah. We may have not seen some arguments they may have had or anything like this, but because it's such a dramatic time jump and we haven't seen any kind of real... Don't tell us, like, show us. Yeah, so I'm a firm believer in
small tension, but no
like bursts like this because
he, I mean almost loses at her.
He's vindictive. Yeah. He's mean.
Oh, he's
like,
so mean.
And it's like, why don't you start by getting the fuck out of here? Get the fuck out.
And
I'm like, whoa.
But that reply is to her being like, I will bring you some food. I will leave you alone. And he's just like, get the fuck out. And it's like, I just want to like give her such a hug.
Yeah, because like
so bad.
You said this earlier. It's like
she just drops. You can see her like spirit just kind of break.
Yeah. Like it's
this is
very
like
subtle, but like you feel for her.
Feel alone.
Yeah,
she's like, well, I don't even have Jack,
because at this point, like the only person there is Danny. But like sometimes it's not even Danny, it's Tony, or it's no one at all because Danny doesn't talk that much. I just do think like there were some arguments that we may have not seen before that. Yeah, that Kubrick may have edited out.
I also kind of get the feeling that like this is the relationship they have even previous to the hotel. Not like to this extent, but like you kind of get the idea that like
something's
Jack
gone
is just
sour.
Yeah, Jack is just annoyed. Is just
Yeah.
irritated by Wendy, which is like very, very sad.
Yeah.
And now we get Thursday, and we get the stare. Yeah, we get the stare. God, Jack Nicholson is so fucking hot. We get the stare,
which Kubrick repeatedly uses in almost
Clockwork
all of
Orange,
the films that he's
I
done.
think Full Metal Jacket, and
Before, in the Berserker scene.
just it's
that was
that,
terrifying.
It's the head slightly tilted forward, looking straight on. Just
So all you're seeing is
staring
like the
blankly
deep
through.
of the brow,
Yeah,
and then the piercing like glare of the white of the eyes.
yeah, and
Like,
we just
you
get
know
like
it's murderous
a
intent.
1,000-yard stare. Like
Yeah.
he's not. It's not even.
And
like
he's not. The
looking at
irony is like
anything.
he's not. He is looking through the window.
He's smiling.
And he's smiling. He is looking
Open mouth,
technically,
like-
if you were to kind of put two and two together, he's looking directly at the maze.
Yeah,
But also beneath him, if you look at that scene from the is the model of the maze.
yeah,
And then just previously before that, you had seen that looking directly down into it, you can see Danny and Wendy walking through it.
yeah.
So, in my opinion, this is where the hotel, like, you can sense that the hotel is really starting to take a grip of him
Yeah,
and influencing not his decisions just yet, because I mean they literally tell him to go kill them later on, but like, you get the sense that he's mentally broken down already, so they're just moving in.
oh yeah.
you
Like
know?
Jack is almost not there anymore.
Yeah.
Jack has slipped away.
Yeah.
I guess. But I love that. But we also get the shining sound in this.
Yeah.
Another reason to suggest that Jack
The
can
white
shine.
noise.
Exactly. I love that. And that hairline. That hairline is so extreme. It's so good.
The parting.
It's great because he looks like Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z, where like his freaking
Oh my
his hairline
god, what a
comes
reference.
up. And also another, he's so hot. The hairline just comes up and almost comes like to his ear. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's so extreme. Like he looks villainous. Like he looks terrifying at this point, which I
Yeah.
kind of enjoy.
I mean, did he use that before? Was The Shining the first time he used it, or was
His
Shining...
hairline?
No, the
stare.
deep down look, the stare,
No,
the
I'm
murderous intent stare.
no. It's Clockwork Orange, I believe.
Clockwork was
Orange came
first, and
first
then
with
The Shining,
Alex in
and then
the Corova Milk Bar,
Full Metal Jacket.
and then Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
Saturday, another title card. The phones are down. The phones are completely out. The weather has started to completely deteriorate. We're
The
getting
storm
to
is
what
settling in.
we're getting to what we expect from The Shining. Snow everywhere.
Blue.
This is where
Everything
isolation,
starts to go really cold.
icy, very, very sterile. Again, like a trope of Kubrick.
Institutional.
Yeah, just
Clinical almost.
stark. Yeah.
Yeah.
The phones are down. This is where we actually start to get Wendy
That
really,
was a compliment,
really
by the way.
clinical.
Institutional.
No, but like I love that though. It's just kind of adds to Kubrick's talent to like truly make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Even if you're watching this in your own home. It's snowy outside. Wendy is actually starting. This is where we kind of see Wendy starting to not crack, but it's where we start to see her kind of
Reach
burst at
out.
the seams a little bit. Yeah, she's getting more and more desperate.
She goes for the. I think this is the day. This is the day. This is the day where she reaches through the not the walkie-talkie,
The radio.
The radio.
And she talks to the park rangers, and you can get that she's trying to make small talk. She's trying to make conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Over.
Yeah. You can kind of see that she's desperate
She
for
needs
human
something.
interaction.
Yeah.
And it's so sad because like right before they hang up, she's like, "Okay, it was real nice talking to you." Over, and then hangs up, and it's
But
like
he does
that's
say
like,
to her, keep the line open from now on, just
Yeah.
in case.
yeah, because he mentions that the phone lines usually will be down until spring, which is like
Fuck.
the
Oh,
next year.
Horrifying.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
Yeah, I
Christ,
live out in the
6,
middle of
7
fucking
months.
nowhere. Jesus Christ. So this is when we get the third trike shot.
Yes. So this is the one, obviously this will play into the whole kind of misdirection that the hotel is,
Yeah.
because the first shot of the trike was just a U-turn. It was Danny going around the Colorado Lounge, back underneath the staircase and into the kitchen. The second trike shot is outside room 237. So Danny does a whole S thing. Now, one level above, I might say, like he's above the Colorado Lounge. He's at the veranda area, walkway area, I might say. So where all the rooms are. So he goes around. The carpet changes, and then, of course, we see the iconic...
we get the shot.
The carpet. We walk around.
I don't know how many shots in this movie I have referred to as just...
iconic.
The shot. But seriously, there's so many frames in this movie that are so iconic, and this is one of the ones. Like, there's a couple of shots in this movie, even if you haven't seen it, you know what it's from. Or you've seen it referenced.
To be fair, like... Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's The Shining is something that introduced a total cultural zeitgeist for everything to follow afterwards. Let's be like black and white here. It is one of the strongest, if not the strongest, horror movie out there.
It's also one of the first movies of a new decade. One of the first
of the 80s, of course, yeah, because it came in 1980. Yeah.
And it does very much feel like a 70s movie because it was obviously like production was there. Yeah. But it really started something new.
When we get through that hallway, Danny once again passes by room 237.
Oh, we meet the twins.
Unlocked.
We get the shot of the Grady twins, where we get the, hello, Danny.
Because he just drives by, yeah.
And this is where we get flashes of the two twins, like cut with them on the floor.
Hacked to pieces.
Hacked to bits.
Well, there's just blood everywhere.
Guts and stuff. There's
I just seen like...
Because they're very quick. They're very quick flashes. But like, we see the two girls splayed out on the ground.
Play with us, Danny.
Forever, yeah.
And ever, and ever, and ever.
Monday.
Sorry, Monday. He puts his hands up to cover, like.
Yeah, it's not
the
real.
Only way he can.
It's not real.
He can express and protect himself is just to cover his eyes.
Yeah.
Like,
it's such a childlike thing. If I can't see you, you can't see me.
The ultimate fear and terror, like, caused him to just smack his face with his hands.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So then Monday, this is where we get Danny. Danny and Wendy are watching a soap opera on a TV that has no cord. Very ratchet. Again,
only merely introducing the idea. I know, just hinting at it. Like, it's little things like this, like the cord, that is not there. Only further imploring your mind that it's a dream or that it's a nightmare that they're not going to wake up from.
Yeah, like something is off, something is not right. But these are very, very, very subtle things
that Kubrick puts in.
Yeah. So we get Danny kind of insisting that he wants to go get his truck. His fire truck from the room. Wendy says no, because Jack is sleeping, that he only went to bed a couple of hours ago. Danny's
I'll be super quiet.
Yeah, exactly. Danny's kind of like prodding at her a little bit. And then she's like, okay, go, but to be very quiet. And then when Danny gets to the room, Jack is sitting up, already awake, but kind of get the impression that he like just woke up. Yeah. And he's kind of staring
heavy
off.
eyelids. He's doing that stare again.
Yeah, and we see him in the mirror. Exact same
again,
mirror.
Second time that we're being introduced this idea that we're only seeing a reflection of something that is his father.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure this is also like one of the like only actual interactions we have specifically between Jack
with Danny and Jack.
Danny.
Yeah.
So we get a small kind of exchange between the two, and like some of the dialogue is not very important, but then Danny asks Jack, would he ever hurt Wendy or himself? And Jack is basically like, what?
Accusatory.
Did your man tell you to say that to me? No, no, and he's basically like, I love you, Danny. Like, I would never hurt you, all this kind of stuff like that.
I want to stay here with you.
Forever, yeah.
And ever and ever.
It's a lot. It's a whole lot. So then we get another Wednesday. This is the carpet. This is where we see the carpet again. I want that carpet.
I do want to point out that everything on this Wednesday title card happens twice.
Yeah.
Everything is reflected. Everything with room 237. There's arguments, just so much happens repeatedly in this part of the film that is just nuts. So this is the iconic.
Yeah.
Danny is playing at the center of the carpet. Very close, not particularly, but like close to room 237. I don't even think he realizes how close he is to the room.
Yeah.
Before I can give any context to the scene that follows it, is Danny is sitting in the iconic hexagonal carpet.
Yeah.
That orange and red hexagonal carpet.
Brown.
and brown. Forgive me. Sorry. Not getting my colours.
Call yourself a real fan? Wow.
He is playing with his toy trucks and cars, and he's sort of aligning them in the hexagonal pattern within the orange
everything
part of the
it's a
carpet.
very symmetrical shot.
Very symmetrical.
That ball that rolls up is
the ball
perfectly
rolls
aligned.
straight up to him.
Yeah.
And he looks at it slightly like, oh. He stands up and he reveals that he's wearing none other than an Apollo 11 jumper. Now, in my opinion, if you're not convinced by the end of this that Stanley was trying to at least say something about the moon landing, then I don't know what will. Because number one, the hexagonal carpet mirrors almost exactly the same as the landing pads in Florida.
Yeah,
where all Apollo 11s, all of that, they all took off from. Now, when Danny stands up, the Apollo 11 on his jumper is ignited. The engines are ignited.
It's obscured though. We only see the word
it's
Apollo.
It's obscured. It looks like if you were to take everything out of it, it's the Apollo 11 liftoff.
Yeah, and
then he travels toward
room
237.
Yeah,
which is now open.
Yeah,
the key is in the door.
This is where we finally actually go into room 237.
The secrets are revealed.
I know we don't see the inside. We just see Danny go in, and then it cuts to Wendy in the boiler room, kind of doing Jack's job again. For real. So then Wendy hears Jack kind of like, like
yes,
screaming.
He's having a horrible nightmare.
He is freaking out. Which, okay, I'll get into it in a sec. So she runs down to him and wakes him up out of his sleep, and he falls over onto the floor. And he's kind of explaining to her that he just had a dream, the worst dream, the most horrible dream, that he killed Wendy and Danny, but not only killed them, hacked them up into little pieces.
Yeah.
And this is also more evidence to suggest that Jack shines. Because he falls asleep in the middle of the day, in the same kind of way that Danny describes that when you see these things, it's like a dream, and then you wake up from it. You know, so this is Jack kind of seeing possibly into the future. This is he's been like given messages, you know what I mean? He's being influenced in this way.
This is Kubrick's influence, because the shot of, you know, the drool coming out of Jack's mouth, all of that must have been shot. I noticed that.
They're like, there's like a couple little drops that come
it's
right
almost manic, and it's fairly evident because that scene was shot like nearly 50 or 60 times.
Yeah.
And Jack Nicholson, not Jack Torrance, Jack was absolutely, you know, exhausted. Yeah. Because Kubrick relentlessly pestered him to get this shot right.
And so you always kind of wonder, like, when I was younger, I always heard these things about Kubrick, that like Kubrick was an asshole and he was a totalitarian and all this kind of stuff. But like, you almost wonder that he could have got the shot in the first one and been satisfied with it. But he had to go through the kind of process of breaking someone down to get it to be authentic and real, you know? Which, like, ultimately paid off, but also, Jesus, Kubrick would have been like
excess.
Cancelled in a moment.
It is excess. Like, I mean, that type of stuff would not fly now. I mean,
you just couldn't do it.
You know, there are laws in place, there are rules in place now.
It's abuse.
You know, it is mental and physical abuse. I mean, like, I know Dick Halloran's actor, he went through hell with that ice cream scene. He did, I think I have it down here in my notes, he went through, I think it was nearly
like over 100 takes.
Like over 100 takes for that one scene.
And Danny Lloyd is also in those shots as well.
And Danny, like, I mean, it's just horrible. Yeah. Horrifying to think about the fact that, like, Kubrick would have put his actors through this kind of fucking pain. Yeah. You know? Sorry, I have it here. This was when he was talking specifically about his grandmother and the hotel's past. Yeah. So that one shot where he goes like, so stay out. He was told between 88 to 105 times to do that one, I think, 3 lines? Yeah. Like, I mean, he tortured them. He tortured them.
The last shot might not have even been the one that they used.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which
horrible. They could have got it maybe 5 shots in, and Kubrick just wanted to keep going.
Let's just see how far I can push. Let's see how much more I can get out of this.
Oh, it's just horrible to think of, really.
So then we get Danny walking in from his little trip to room 237.
His little romper room fuckery.
It's not what I came here to do, said Wendy. So Danny he enters sucking on his thumb with a big bruises on his neck, and his shirt is torn. And Wendy runs up to him, and then she concludes that it was Jack after seeing, and freaks out at Jack. This is where we start getting her accusing him.
And can I just say, you don't even get a reaction out of Jack. He's
Jack is
sitting there in almost a catatonic state,
looking
staring. He's staring at the wall behind them.
Yeah, like he almost can't even like believe what he's hearing, or whatever, like that.
But not that. But like, I mean, like, imagine just waking up from a dream where you hacked your family to pieces.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, like you just told your wife this, and then your son is found injured to bits after you've already injured him before. So she picks Danny up, scoops him away, which is a dummy. It's
my god! I was shown this, and it's one of those things. It's like the dick printer from.
You'll never not see it.
You'll never not see it again.
It's fucking hilarious. I didn't even notice until last time I was watching it. I read the fact and then was like, okay, I'm going to look out for this. The arms are so stiff, but like it's like a 2-second shot. But that was all kind of done intentionally by Kubrick. Kubrick didn't want to expose Danny Lloyd to any kind of things that could be potentially traumatic, I guess, because it was his first role, and Kubrick was like intensely kind of protective over him.
So then we get like the whole Jack. Jack this now is seen from more Jack's point of view from this point onwards until obviously he comes back into Wendy's their hotel room.
Yeah, Jack becomes the focus for the next while.
He goes to the gold room. Now I want to point out something that I found really, really interesting is again the whole reflection of Jack in mirrors is the hallway. The hallway that tracking shot where the camera is following Jack down the hallway to the sign with the gold room. Every time Jack passes a mirror on the left side, he reacts violently. He throws his fists in the air.
Oh yeah, this is where we get Jack starts
his head to side. Like he goes manic, but every time his reflection disappears from mirror to mirror, he goes calm.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just after I thought about it, I was like, this is again Kubrick like bringing up the whole mirror aspect, like revealing the true identity of who is really inside Jack at this point.
Yeah.
And of course he walks into the gold room that they were in earlier, which is completely vacant. No one's in there.
Flicks the light on.
He flicks the lights on.
Goes to the bar.
Sits at the bar. And then of course he rubs his eyes. I think he puts his head down on the table
alcohol
at one
first
point.
and sees that there's absolutely nothing. And then he
goes, what I'd give for a drink, I think, or something.
I'd sell myself for just a drop. Yeah. Hi, Lloyd. Just completely
and he immediately
nonchalantly.
knew. He knew who he was.
Just completely nonchalant, as if they'd always been there.
Spoiler alert.
The bar is fully stocked. They speak as if they've been old friends the entire time.
Yeah.
So they start kind of, talking about like Jack starts to explain about his like quote unquote sobriety. That sounds so bad, like I'm coming for Jack, but they talk about his sobriety and about what happened with between Danny and Jack basically just out and out blames Wendy. Yeah. It's the mother,
Now this is actually what I was mentioning earlier. This is the same story just told from a parallel point of view.
Give me your fucking hand!
He's falling over.
Fucking hell! It's like, why are you taking it away?
I'm so sorry. I'm like, what are you doing?
I was falling over.
This is something I wanted to point out from earlier. It's the same story of Danny hurting himself. Hurting himself. I mean, Jack hurting Danny.
Momentarily lost of muscular coordination.
This is exactly what Wendy said. Slightly different, but it's exactly the same story.
They're completely justifying it as it was just an accident.
And
kind
it's
of thing you do
a negative view.
With
It's an alternative negative view of what had happened.
Yeah.
Whereas Wendy was trying to justify it.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was such an interesting contrast and interesting parallel between, because it's both because Wendy was with the doctor, so it's almost an interviewee question, and Lloyd was the same. It's almost an interviewee question as to why this happened, and then Jack goes off on his tangent.
Yeah, basically blames Wendy for this.
He blames Wendy.
Yeah,
he
he calls her a
blames Wendy.
sperm bank.
Oh,
it's crazy.
You would not get away with this nowadays.
God, I wish Jack Nicholson would nut in me. Woo! Jack, if you're listening. So we then get Wendy bursting into the gold room. We get our first few flaps from Wendy.
A kind of manic state.
Yeah, she runs around like a headless chicken, literally, like arms like up to her chest,
flailing, elbows, wagging side to side.
And she's hysterics. She's in hysterics. She's completely hysterical. She's saying that there's a crazy woman in the hotel who tried to strangle Danny, and Danny told her this, and she kind of just takes it for face value from Danny. Yeah, and Jack is almost kind of not really having any of it.
You know what I mean? He's very nonchalant about it, and he's like, okay, I'll go check it out.
Yeah.
And he goes.
So, we get to Dick's apartment. This dope ass 70s pimp ass apartment, bro. He's got these two we see the television actually first, and then we pan up.
Oh, of course, yes, of course.
Gorgeous woman. This gorgeous painting. I actually forget the artist. I've seen these paintings before, like more paintings from this person. This woman with this huge afro, and then we get another one right behind him.
Directly above him,
directly above him, which is referenced in South Park. Chef's bedroom is done out this way also. And we see bare feet. Ugh, whatever. So Dick is watching the news, and this is where we get kind of
is it another weather report?
Yeah, it's another
weather report. Yeah. It's getting worse. Like, the storm is
now people are cut off. Like, nobody can do shit.
Yeah.
And then we get the high-pitched shining sand again, and Dick freezes. Like, he's petrified.
Yeah.
And his eyes, like, they get wider. His mouth kind of coils back, and
it's almost like a holy shot.
Yeah.
Like, from a religious painting.
Yeah.
Because he's lit directly from above. Obviously, I mean, shining off the top of his head, but like, he's like, you can see a huge glare of white in his eyes.
Yeah.
And again, that white noise comes back, and like, you can immediately tell. I mean, you've already associated with him talking to Danny, so you immediately know what's happening.
Yeah.
You know what's coming next.
Yeah, we already have this established, this psychic link between Danny and Dick.
Yeah. Dick and Danny.
I know, I have a psychic link with Dick. So
this will never come up again. Like, there's no.
I sure hope it will. No. So we cut to Danny having an actual seizure. He's foaming at the mouth. There's spit coming out of the mouth.
Yeah.
And we enter, which is such a creepy shot. Again, it's that blue lighting that we don't really get much. It almost looks like he's outside. And then we enter room 237 through the eyes of Jack, but we enter with this, again, 70s ass, psychedelic, the carpet
plan.
Exactly, and it's almost opposite colors.
Of course, the colours outside.
Orange, it's green and purple, like really, really vivid colors. And this, oh my god! And they go into that green bathroom. Oh,
the carpet.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I mean, they're opposite colors to what's outside. Sorry, just for context, it is room 237 we are mentioning here. We finally get into actually seeing what's inside. Now, of course, the one thing I do want to point out, like I said, with the opposite colors, it is the exact same pattern, only more fluid. Smoother lines, everything leading up towards the bathroom, which
things
of
are
course
more curved,
is
things
more
are less
curved.
angled. Yeah.
It almost does give off the sense of intercourse in depictions. No, I'm serious, because like,
for sure,
it comes across as a dick entering a vagina.
Well, it is,
because it's very smooth, it's very phallic.
Scene.
It becomes yes, exactly.
The only
it becomes
kind of
a sexual scene,
outrightly sexual scene that we get. Like, it's
the entire
like nothing
film.
is hinted at. It's blatant nudity and a seduction.
Yeah.
So yeah,
because it's all the dicks are pointing in the direction of the bathroom.
Yeah.
Which
I always
of course
loved
we see.
the that design though. The bathroom, like the actual bath itself, is kind of like
pale green.
It's that, yeah. It's like jade green, and then it's kind of like in a wall.
Creamy jade.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it's recess. It's in a recess on its own.
Yeah, like it's in its own little like kind
and
of like
it's side lit. It's lit from the light above the mirrors on the right side with the wash basin in it.
And then we get Mrs. Massey. Just we see her from behind to the stage. No, we see her from behind a curtain, but then we just see the arm extend out and pull it back so slightly, and Jack is kind of at the door again, just staring, mouth open, like
it's almost
no verbal,
it's completely
hypnotized.
Like he's hypnotized, but you can tell he's definitely turned on.
Oh, Jack is trying to get his dick wet over here.
100% turned on.
Oh, for real? Because we never see any moments of intimacy. We never see any moments of actual love or
and I love
anything
the way that
between...
look is very reflective. It's very reflective of almost the kill look.
Oh yeah,
they have, because I love that, because they're both primal urges to kill and to fuck,
and to tear apart. Yeah,
you know, like they're so reflective of each other.
It's very much that Ginger Snaps thing of like, I can't tell if I just want to fuck or rip everything apart. Yeah, but yeah. So then, and she's stunning, Mrs. Massey.
She's beautiful.
She's gorgeous. And Jack walks up to her, and she has Jack Nicholson's hands all over her. I wish, whatever. So then they start like
this is turning
kissing.
into your sexual fantasy now, isn't it?
Jack Nicholson, I love you. So they start kissing, and they kind of like get really into it. It's really passionate and stuff. And then he looks in the mirror, and he sees that she's
no. He doesn't look in the mirror.
Oh,
he just happens to. He opens his eyes and sees her.
And
you can see his reaction first.
Yeah.
And then you see
like he sees her, and we see the mirror.
Yeah.
And we see that she's got like big patches of rot.
Yeah.
She's a rotten old, like,
it's a corpse.
Yeah.
It's a bloated, waterlogged corpse.
Yeah.
And it's no longer a young woman corpse. It's an old
rotten
woman.
Old hag. Like, she looks like a witch. Like, and the laugh.
Yeah.
Like, it's so creepy.
Yeah, that's
and he kind of just like he backs out.
He backs out. He doesn't run out.
And he stumbles the fuck
the whole
out.
Time.
But she like is just like coming towards him like a fairy tale type witch.
Yeah.
Like, she's terrifying.
Yeah.
So then we get Dick trying to reach the hotel to no avail. The lines are completely down. The police or the
Which, by the way, we
Rangers
do
can't
have
get
to
through to
mention
him.
that there's a huge time jump in between. I didn't realise this. I thought Dick getting on the plane and all of this was happening within mere hours.
It's a
no,
day.
It happened over a day or two. And I was like, are you... what?
Yeah. I actually think it is one day. Like, I think it's a whole day later.
Oh.
So then Jack gets back to the room and lies to Wendy. Says he saw nothing in the room. And they have kind of another little chat, and then he suggests
it
that...
ain't a chat. Babe, it's an argument.
Babe. No, they're talking, arguing. Wendy's kind of suggesting that, like, Danny needs a doctor.
I'm sorry, can you hear the cat purring? Can you hear that? I hope you can hear that. Little sensory overload there.
ASMR. Yeah.
We're big.
Club 96. Yeah. Room 237. Yeah.
Documentary.
Man, fuck that documentary. So this is where we get Jack suggests to Wendy that Danny actually injured himself. Kind of being like, well, it wasn't me.
Very nonchalantly.
If it wasn't me, then, and it wasn't you, it's the only other explanation, you know?
Yeah.
Which to me, like, seems weird that, like, Wendy never would have considered, like, there could be, like, a whole group of other people in this hotel, and we never know, you know? So yeah, we get the suggestion that Danny has injured himself, and this is where we get Danny hearing them kind of argue back and forth, and we see through his mind's eye Red Rum, where we first get the hint of Red Rum.
The first flash. You'll know what Red Rum is later. If you don't already know, you'll know. You know, when you know, you know. I do want to take a quick second to also point out, again, the whole moon landing theory does come across here in the argument, because...
Wendy, I will go to the moon.
Wendy does suggest that they remove Danny from the hotel, that she takes him and goes.
Yeah.
Or that they all leave together. Up until that point, Jack, they were arguing, but Jack was very kind of docile.
But this is where he outrightly is like, fuck you, you bitch. Like, he gets
turns on her.
But it's scary. This is where you first see the kind of thing of like, is he going to hurt her?
Yeah.
You know, like, you really think that it could go there.
That's where the flash of the red room comes from.
Yeah, that's where you really think it could go next.
He turns around and he throws in her face, like, you are ruining my career. Do you have any idea what this will do to me?
Of you.
You always fuck things up. He says something that's like, you know what I signed? I signed a contract with my employers.
Like, you can see her just kind of be like, oh, like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, it's over. Like, this is where the final wheels of the kind of third act start to roll.
Yeah.
This is where you get into, like, the horror of, this suspense is out the window. It's horror now, you know?
Yeah. I don't want to, like, throw a reference in there, but it's very, like, Hereditary, where it does have that extreme long build-up of real tension, and then all of a sudden...
The box is open.
Boom. Yeah. We can't undo it. Everything is going to hell from this moment onwards.
The wheel is already gone.
It's done. Yeah.
So Jack leaves the room, storms out, leaves Wendy sitting there by herself. Again, I just want to hug this woman, because it's like every time you see her crying or being distraught, you know it's real.
Yeah, because
she just kind of sits there and is like sobbing, like
and
really,
also
really
again,
sobbing.
Not to mention like the amount of takes that Kubrick was doing.
Yeah,
I mean,
Kubrick
like, how
basically
many times
like
did he force her
did
to
everything
cry?
short. Like he basically did everything except hit her.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He really did. He broke her. I mean, like, no matter how much like we can respect him as a filmmaker, I will always disagree with that type of abuse to anyone, whether it's someone working or with them. Like, I disavow any type of.
Because I'm firmly of the belief that like
experience.
Shelley Duvall kind of never really recovered.
No,
from
she didn't.
This.
She really didn't.
And which is very sad, where you see where she is now. Yeah, obviously, I'm not saying that like Kubrick fucking ruined Shelley Duvall's life or anything, but like, no, he really put a damper on her
he
kind
put
of
a downer on
career for real.
Jack then goes back to the gold room,
and there's a party going on.
Dun, dun, dun.
So we get a party where the song is called Midnight, the Stars and You, which we get a couple of times again throughout the movie,
and at the end, the very end,
where we and this is where Jack meets Lloyd at the bar again. Your money's no good here, sir. This is where we find out. He's like,
orders from the house.
Yeah, I like to know who's paying for my drinks, all this kind of stuff. And then Jack goes to get up, and we meet Delbert Grady, but we're not told it's him just yet. And he spills some avocado all over his shirt.
I don't even know what is avocado.
Avocado.
No,
it's the same word with that one letter.
They turn it into a drink. Are you serious?
I don't fucking know. They spill some green shit on Jack.
It's not green. It's yellow. It's yellow.
Wow, show me the receipts. Anyway.
Okay, I will.
Anyway, Jack gets some schmutz on his jacket and in his drink.
Some
right?
schmutz.
Yeah. So they go into the red bathroom, the bathroom of my dreams.
Iconic. Like, if you had a bathroom, this would be the bathroom.
Say, I'm going to decorate my bathroom like this. Nobody ever uses red for a bathroom or in their house in general.
So for context, just in case anyone's trying to understand what we're trying to reference here, it is a crystal clear white bathroom with red walls, red divider walls, and tile work that is blood red. Yeah. And it's lit
very,
from one side.
Very Kubrick. Like, that bathroom could easily be part of the Corova Milk Bar, or it could very definitely be 2001. You know what I mean? It could fit kind of anywhere, or very Eyes Wide Shut as well. Yeah. It's very that kind of stylized.
Absolutely.
So,
beautiful.
Jack is asking, or they're kind of like going back and forth, and then he catches, he's like, wait, you said your name was Delbert Grady. You used to be the caretaker here. And he's kind of like,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's very kind of like, yeah, excuse me.
Excuse your mouth?
It's then we kind of get I fucking love Tammy Brown. So then we kind of get Jack is kind of copping on a little bit. He's like, wait, I know. He basically lets Grady know, I know who you are and what you did. And Grady kind of shows it off like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, blah, 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 blah.
I should know, sir. I've always been here.
Yeah. So Grady tells Jack that he
Can
is
I just
the
point
caretaker.
out, it is currently 4:20.
420. So then Grady tells Jack that he is the caretaker and that he himself has always been there. So then Jack, he tells Jack that Danny is, oh God,
Is it a talented boy?
Yeah,
Or is attempting to bring an outside force into this as a situation?
Yeah, and then
we do want to point out that there is something that is said repeatedly.
Yeah,
in this
they
scene.
say the N-word 3 times right here. Which is a Kubrick edition, which I guess kind of makes sense contextually when you look at the fact that Delbert Grady
is a very old character from a different time period.
But
where
also,
this is acceptable.
Exactly, but also they're both the villains. Like, they're not supposed to be good people.
Yeah, they're not meant to be liked at all.
It just kind of adds that, like, they're kind of pieces of shit. Like, it goes into it. And then it kind of goes into the whole...
you also see that side face. You mentioned earlier that side face thing appears where he sort of slants his jaw to one side.
Jack gets
lost kind of
his mind.
squinty-eyed.
Yeah, Jack now is not even remotely the Jack we had. This is where we first kind of start to get Jack being a little bit more feral and
mean and just all around
animalistic
dickheadedness.
Yeah, he's more animalistic. With this little like
and that word correct.
Correct. Yeah.
Like it just that word is
it's
always
so villainous.
stuck in my head.
Yeah,
and it's very like again it adds to that whole like clinical, institutional like you even if they don't say it, you fucking know. You know what he's telling her to do.
Yeah.
Correct.
So then I only kind of remembered this last night when I was watching it again. One of the Grady twins, the reason the two Grady twins are killed is because one of them is caught trying to burn the hotel down. Yes. I love that.
And he corrected them.
But I love that. And then the wife caught Grady killing the daughters, and then he killed her, and then stacked them all neatly into one of the rooms, into the room that they all stay in, into their apartment. But I like that little bit of backstory, that the idea that like one of the twins was trying to burn the place down.
It is. It's interesting because it's just another case of history repeating itself. Now, of course, in the book, the hotel is burned down at the end, but of course that changes now with the movie, with Kubrick's edition.
Yeah,
but,
the ending is completely whatever. But we all know Stephen King can't write an ending. Stephen, if you're listening, I meant that shit.
We all know it's true. I'll be fair.
So yeah, he killed his family. So then we get back to Wendy, and
Danny is catatonic again, isn't he?
Oh yeah, gone.
He's very much like Tony's taking over now.
Completely gone, and this is where she's planning her and no, she's by herself. She's planning her she's planning her and Danny's escape, and this is where we hear Danny yelling "Red Rum." This is where we get Red Rum. Yeah, we get Danny yelling "Red Rum" from the bedroom. So then Wendy goes in, and it's Tony now. Danny's gone.
Yeah, Danny's gone. Actually, Danny doesn't reappear for the rest of the film, right?
No, we're kind of
Tony.
left. Yeah, we're left on the cliffhanger that yeah.
So far as I know, because she screams Danny go.
Yeah.
But there's no like correction and there's no nothing. So like right up until they get into the snowcat spoilers, they get into the snowcat at the end.
Danny's gone.
Like
Tony has taken over.
From that moment onwards. Holy shit, I didn't even think about it.
So we get the lines that actually creeped me out last night of Danny's not here, Mrs. Torrance. Danny can't wake up, Mrs. Torrance.
The finger is wagging.
And Danny's gone away, Mrs. Torrance. And then that kind of Wendy just like breaks down. Mm-hmm. Wendy's completely unknown now.
Yeah.
Wendy has nobody on her side. So yeah, we then cut to Jack hears the Rangers on the police radio.
He removes, I think it's the battery?
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. I just said, I figured he takes parts out.
He takes something out of it and it disables the radio, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he of course we find out later, but he also destroys the snowcat.
Yeah, and
the snowcat, just in case you're wondering for context, in case anyone doesn't know, a snowcat is basically
it's like a
car-sized
mobile.
Almost tractor-like kind of thing
that
that can move over snow a lot easier because it's a lot lighter, so it can travel further distances over snow, just in case you're wondering. I said that earlier and I thought maybe I should say something.
So then Dick checks in again, and the police can't get through. Like, he's able to get through to the Denver police, but the police can't get through to the hotel. So this is him kind of being like, okay, fuck it, I'm going. We cut to another title card, 8 a.m. Dick is on a plane. Dick's on the most 70s looking plane ever. I'm pretty sure there's like a
people
couple
are
of people
smoking.
Yeah, there's people literally smoking. And we just get a scene of him like going, right. So then back at the hotel, Jack is typing again very loudly. And it's just a brief, small little scene of Jack typing away. I was literally looking at that like, did that just not record the entire thing? So then Dick gets to the town nearest to the hotel and rents, well, it's actually not nearest, it's 5 hours away, he says, and rents a snowcat to get up to the hotel. And then we kind of cut away from him again. And then the next morning, Wendy and Danny are watching Roadrunner. And
it's still Tony.
He's still catatonic.
Practically catatonic.
Like, he's not even really watching. He's just kind of sat in front.
He's not even seeing the TV. He's just there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks like lobotomized. Like, there's no expression, no nothing. And Wendy says, you just stay right here. I'm going to go see your dad for a couple of minutes. And she brings the baseball bat with her.
Yes.
Which is where we start to get there. But she doesn't show Danny. She kind of, like, has her eye on Danny. Yeah. And then this is where it starts to, like,
this is
down. I think this is like the beginning of the end. Yeah.
When Wendy goes down to the typewriter, now Jack isn't there. Jack, at least for the moment, we don't know that Jack is there. But it's revealed that Jack is probably
just
watching her.
Yeah, we can't see him.
And the typewriter has changed at least 3 times throughout the entire film. I do want to mention this, that again, the whole kind of Kubrick, whether he intentionally did it or not, the typewriter has changed 3 times, and I think the final time that we look at it, I think it's a creamy blue. I think. And of course
we get the pages.
And I love the fact that they're all different type and the different paragraphs.
So then we get all work, no play, makes Jack a dull boy. Oh, but just reams and reams and reams and reams of pages. Which
and I love
was
that he
written
continuously changes. The shot just goes and goes and goes to like really focus that point in.
And again, Kubrick being an abusive genius, had his secretary write all of those pages out like over months and months to just have it. We don't even see more than 20 pages.
Yeah.
But all those are fucking
But they are
typed
there.
out
They're
just
there.
for the realism. But this is when we finally get Wendy realizing, oh shit. Like,
it's gone.
Fuck.
He's gone. He's over the edge.
Yeah.
Wendy, right up until this point, now before it all goes downhill and the kind of spirits really reveal themselves to her, she has not experienced anything supernatural.
No.
I've only realized that now. I'm like, well, holy shit. The whole way through this movie, well, right up until the moment that she sees the party goer, the everything. We'll talk about it later. But right up until that moment, she's not experienced anything supernatural at all.
Yeah, this is her first inkling into like, okay, something's really
my God, he's
not...
literally just showing his ass up. My cat is wandering around and stretching, doing yoga. Downward dog that shit.
Upward cat asshole. So yeah, this is her first kind of inkling of like, shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's more than just it's more than just what's been going on. So then Jack turns the corner.
Yeah. Like
turns the corner right behind her.
He just like he literally frightens her all the way back up the stairs.
Yeah, this is where she like runs and she has the bat up to her chest. Like,
she doesn't swing it just yet.
No, but she holds
it defensively,
and she starts to break down. She kind of almost can't even speak. She's exacerbated to the point where she's kind of hyperventilating almost. She can't even get her words out. Yeah,
all of that kind of thing. Just exclamations of sound are coming out of her
just
while Jack
fucked.
is trying to like not talk her off the ledge, but just kind of keep her on the ledge.
It's like like a spider.
Yeah.
Like, and she's a fly, where he's just like, I'm going to get you.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to distract you long enough.
Yeah.
And she can't even speak. So, we get more elevator flashes, but very, very quick flashes of the elevator and red rum.
Is this when we get flashes of Danny as well?
Yeah, it's a
because
bit,
I also believe that like this is Danny using his shining to influence his mother to get out of there.
Yeah,
I firmly believe this is Danny telling his mom, back up, get away from him.
I think when we see flashes of elevators and red room, I think that's always purely Danny's influence, because
of course.
it's Danny's writing.
Yeah.
But this is where we start to get her like backing up towards the stairs. She's completely affixed on him, never taking her eyes off him, kind of just biding time and making her way slowly out of the room up towards the stairs.
Very that.
And he's mocking her, like he's taking the piss out of her. What is it? So like, yeah, Jack hasn't done like a piece of work. Hasn't taken any care of this hotel, not once, the entire freaking time. So yeah, we got Wendy.
It's safe to say he doesn't give a shit, really. In fairness,
no, like he's there to write, like specifically. That's like the only reason
he has written only the same thing.
Over and over again.
Forever and ever.
So yeah, he slowly backs Wendy up to the stairs where she's kind of
like a cornered.
Oh, he's like a wolf.
Yeah,
he's like, this is him almost at his most animalistic, because he's like baring his teeth and almost not barking at her, but he's kind of like jabbing at her. Yeah, where he kind of like he's like putting his hands near her and stuff like this. And this is where she starts to swing the bat. And this is where we get the I'm not gonna hurt you, Wendy. Or I'm not going to hurt you. Wendy, darling, light of my life. Yeah. I'm not going to hurt you. You didn't let me finish my sentence. I said, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to bash your brains in. I'm just going to bash them right the fuck in. Yeah. And she is acting...
Take Danny, and we're going to get out of here.
And she is acting her fucking ass off.
Oh, she's murdering it. She's killing it. Literally,
this is the point where she's literally like, she can't even speak. She's so completely exasperated. And then he like goes to like reach for her, and this is when she swings. She swings on his arm, and he kind of looks at her like, "What the fuck, bro? Like, excuse me."
He does, like, he snatches he literally grabs his arm, he snatches it back, like, oh shit, this one's gonna fight.
He doesn't expect her ever to swing. He thinks that at this point he's just, hello kitty. He expects her to just
accept it. Yeah. Well,
like,
because she's been doing it the whole time.
Yeah.
She's been accepting what's going on.
And like, in his mind, this is where he's going to kill Wendy. So she knocks his ass down the stairs, and whoever the stunt actor was for this,
bashes him over the head with a bat.
When he falls straight back down onto the stairs, actor whacks his head.
Yes.
All the way down.
Oh my god, I had to watch that twice because I looked at it
his
and
head
I thought,
bounces off the stairs.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
He doesn't just like wobble and then he falls flat back.
Like a board. Yeah. Then we get her dragging him. We don't know where just yet, and then she drags him to the kitchen. Jack is on some good shit now. So then she brings him to the door, to the freezer, and she forgets how to open the door, which I kind of get. Like, she's in a state of shock, but she's just pulling at the door and pulling at the door, and then she just pulls the thing,
but
which
also,
we saw earlier.
I love the tension there. Like, she's trying to
and he's waking up.
He's waking up.
Yeah.
And the tension of her trying to open that door.
I remember thinking that,
and it does come full
watching
circle.
it again.
Like you said, he literally
exactly.
showed her how to open and lock that door.
Yeah. And like, I remember thinking last night watching it again, I was like, fuck. Like, if I was her, I'd be thinking like, shit, like this is the only place that I can actually isolate him and lock it from the outside. If he wakes up,
isolate, trigger.
if he wakes up, she's fucked. If he had gotten up on his feet, because as soon as she gets him in, right as she goes to slam the door, he gets to his feet.
Yeah.
And yeah, like she would have been fucked if that hadn't happened. So she's able to lock him in, and she grabs herself a knife. But the way she picks it up and everything, she kind of picks it up like, what the fuck am I going to do with this thing? Like, she has it just to have almost.
She goes to the radio first.
And we get a small
bit of dialogue. Yes,
a small bit of dialogue where this is where Jack goes, full psycho where he is.
I think I've hurt my head real
I'm
bad.
feeling real yeah. And she's like,
he drops the facade like straight up.
Drops, and this is where we get
Go
this.
check it out.
We get this really check it out, and he's like just
tapping the door.
Yeah.
Oh.
But this is where we get that really weird, like really kind of uncomfortable shot. Yeah, of
like
him
straight
from
under
straight
his
under
chin.
with the like handle on his thing, and he's just like hitting on the door.
Because she tells him she's going to take Danny.
Then I'll send
help.
the doctor back for you. Yeah.
And then
so
he's
Jack
like,
admits to
go try.
Yeah, and he admits to fucking up the snowcats.
Oh.
So when he runs outside with more stunning piece, like another stunning piece of the score, and finds the cats completely ruined.
Oh yeah, like the whole front of the, like the bonnet of the car,
smashed,
completely
like
smashed
wrecked.
and ripped up.
And we get another title card. It's 4 p.m. So Jack is woken up.
He's coming to. Yeah, he's
woken up in the pantry.
Knocks on the door.
By knocking the door by Delbert Grady, and Delbert Grady is just chatting mad shit.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yo,
you fucked up.
You should go. Yeah, you let a woman overtake you. You let your wife overtake you. You should kill her." Like he's basically just like.
You need to get your shit together.
Where it sounds like Delbert is the front of all these ghosts, where he's like, "We're disappointed in you. We were trying to incorporate you into this, and you fucked it up. You have one more chance to fix this."
I always think of a Treehouse of Horror.
Yeah.
I always imagine Mo as Delbert Grady. I mean, like that's what the interpretation is.
Yeah.
But Delbert Grady is standing at that door on the other side, and all the other ghosts are standing out there just not saying anything. Like,
we're trying to incorporate you into our club, and you're fucking it up.
Yeah,
and you're
messing this up.
Yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I always pictured it like
that's
that.
Always, I never thought of it any other way.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean,
everybody's sitting
it can't just be Grady pulling the strings.
No,
it's just everyone. That's exactly them standing there, cross-armed, like pissed off, being like, "Can you get on with this?"
I always imagine Grady went through basically the exact same thing as Jack.
This whole kind of proving yourself to them.
Exactly. Like even if we were to read this from Grady's perspective, like back when he killed his family, there would have been a Grady equivalent for Grady.
Yes,
you know, like trying to get him into the fold. Yeah, exactly. So
I do like
door
the.
is unlocked.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go.
I do think this. Now you just said Grady opens the door. This is a debatable
Which is how it's
scene.
Supposed to be taken.
It's how it's supposed to be taken.
Yeah.
However, right up until this defining one moment,
yes,
we are to expect or to think or to believe in some type of way, feeling some type of way about it, that the ghosts are just a figment of Jack's imagination.
Yeah.
Because right up until Shelley sees the ghosts, we still firmly believe that because no one else has seen them apart from her.
We've been told that by Dick earlier, is that
apart from him,
some people can see things that some people can't, like The Shining, which is why we think like, okay, Jack, Danny, and
Wendy,
Dick are the only people that can see stuff. But then obviously that's not true. But like I said to you earlier, before we started recording, that I take the interpretation of Wendy being able to see all these things not as them being ghosts, but as the hotel itself shining. I take it as the hotel itself, like shining to Wendy, because all of these things are things that aren't actually there, like the guests in the lobby. Like we see that the lobby is completely webbed over, like spider webs, skeletons. The lighting is completely different. Spoiler alert, to a 40-year-old classic movie.
Were you referring to me? Like I said, like right up until that point, we're told to expect, I should say, that these are figments of Jack's imagination. Now, whether it's right up until this point where the ghosts physically intervene is still up for debate, because
that was always my reading.
You can
was
say
like, there has
that
to be ghosts.
Danny was the one who opened the door. I know how that sounds, but if you were to take it from right up until obviously Wendy seeing the ghosts, if she hadn't seen the ghosts, the only real world logical explanation is Danny was the one who opened the door,
or Jack,
but it can only be locked from the outside.
Yeah, but Danny's not even there.
True.
Danny's
Again,
still in
tone
bed.
it could be, it's always
That
been
seems
such
to
an
be the
interesting
one point
point
of
of contention.
contention.
Exactly. Snap! You
Look
owe
at
me
you.
you owe me a Coke. It's just an interesting point of contention that can be really interpreted.
People argue against is like, is there ghosts? Is Jack able to shine? Like what went on? This is the main thing. Like aside from room 237 and all that kind of stuff, this is the main thing. Just among general horror fans that I've heard of, this is where people are kind of like, okay, this is the mindfuck kind of section of like, did Jack get himself out? Did the ghosts let him out? Or
did Danny let him out?
Did Danny let him out?
Or did Tony let him out? Sorry, I should say, because Danny wasn't there at that point.
No.
Oh, that's I mean, like an interesting thing. Like Tony may have just been like, "Well, I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to let him know."
That's the thing. It's like we do get very limited information from Tony. You know, like Danny knows all this stuff, but we aren't told. Like Danny and Tony are both very like, I can't tell you. Tony told me not to speak about it. You know, keep it very secret.
We move into. I just thought it was so stupid. Is the revealing thing that Wendy has fallen asleep?
Well, see, it's a whole.
I just think it's so funny that, like, you know, after her husband literally going to kill her, locking him up, and then revealing that, like, the cars and the radios are all gone.
I know,
but
like,
just
what are they going to
fucks
do?
Off for a nap.
Like, to her, Jack is secured. Jack can't get out. Yeah, we actually get a shot. We get a very small shot of Halloran driving up through like a wooded area, and it's like snowy, so we know that he's close. And we found out that the journey from where he got the snowcat would be 5 hours. So this all takes place like
within 5 hours.
So yeah, Wendy takes a nap, which I guess like is kind of stupid, but also like it. I like read it for her character. Like I kind of get why she would do that.
Exhausted.
Yeah, like exactly.
Fucked,
you know what I mean?
Like just mentally and physically fucked.
So then Danny is awake while Wendy is still asleep, right?
Life.
And he takes it upon himself to pick up that big ass knife and Wendy's red lipstick that she never ever wore.
Clocked
to write red rum on the door, which is then revealed to spell out backwards when Wendy wakes up, murder. And
interestingly enough, through a mirror again.
Through that mirror.
Again, that to me is like, it's an interesting, obviously style wise, and the reveal obviously of what red rum means, murder, is that
red rum is not just a famous Irish horse.
That the mirror in Kubrick's world reflects the truth. Yeah. And of course he just gets louder and he wakes her up.
Oh yeah, he's yelling.
She tries to calm him down and all of a sudden whack! Yeah. Whack!
Oh yeah.
Straight in.
But the way they shoot oh wait, I just want to say I have a red worm tattoo. Like
he has
big fan of Shining, has the tattoo to prove it. But yeah, we got
privilege.
I literally have that. Where is it? Everything, and then bam, we get that shot of whatever way they filmed it. We don't follow Jack, we follow the axe.
Yes, it's the camera that moves back and forth.
Yeah, and you feel that impact right on the door.
Yeah,
just
he's coming through,
swinging at it.
I mean, they panic. They can go the only place they can think of.
The bathroom.
And
that's the thing. Usually, I'd be like it's the Scream rules. Like, don't
walk yourself into a corner.
Yeah, but. Like, where the fuck else are they going to go? He's at the front door of their apartment. There's no other way
Danny's room has no windows.
No, and perfect size room for a child. Yeah.
The only window is the bedroom and the small, tiny window in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they head into the bathroom, and this is where we get, this is the build-up to, again, another mega, ultra-iconic shot. Danny is able to get out of the bathroom window, because he's a child, but Wendy cannot fit, so she stays behind.
Danny, go!
Yeah, exactly.
Run!
I can't fit! And she kind of just she flops about for a bit in the window. And I even said to you earlier, I was like, okay, I totally would have just smashed that fucking window.
I would have too.
But
I
for
would have
horror's
literally
sake,
looked for anything, and like you said, the top of the toilet would have been probably the first thing I picked up and just smashed it through.
But I get, for horror's sake, again, it's also
tension building.
Yeah, and I don't know if I would even maybe think of that in the moment. Do you know what I mean? I maybe would have panicked as well. But he finally gets into the apartment. He's in the main bedroom, and we get the little pigs. Yeah, not by the hair on your chin.
She is backed up against one side of the door. And feebly
feebly
holding the knife.
Just so limp wristed. very me. Stiff elbow, limp wrist. But yeah, this is probably one of the most iconic shots in cinema. Just overall.
And not to mention, he knocks down the door, but, well, when I say the door, I mean a frame of the door. He uses an ad-lib. An ad-lib is arguably one of the most iconic movie or cinematic references that has been used. And to me, that says so much about the power of...
We don't even say it.
Of course. I mean, he knocks through it, you know. Oh no, he says, and I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in. Picks up the axe and just whacks it down, you know.
And we get the line.
Full on, we get the line. Here's Johnny! And she whimpers.
Yeah, we get that. That to me is like if I was to hear that clip without her little like and the kind of sting, the like the eye string, it would sound weird. But then she cuts his fucking hand.
Yeah, because he reaches in to open up the door, doesn't he?
Yeah, and she slices his hand, and then just as that happens, we get Dick arrive to the hotel.
At the hotel,
which is always a good time. We get Dick arriving to the hotel, which distracts both Wendy and Jack enough to just be like, "What the fuck?" Because they hear the snowcat outside.
Yeah.
Jack leaves Wendy to pursue Dick. Ain't that the truth? I mean, he was reading Playgirl earlier. I mean, come on.
I mean, the tomfoolery and buffoonery.
So Danny, for some reason, like Kate Winslet into Titanic, runs back in. He's back in the hotel, and he doesn't actually even do anything. He just
hides in
the cupboard, the big metal cupboard
in the kitchen.
A la Jurassic Park.
So therefore, if we were to put this into context for anyone who's listening, the Colorado Lounge, coming around the hallway of the reception, around that corner behind the impossible window.
Yeah.
I'm confusing anyone already.
Is
the kitchen.
Yeah.
And it's a long hallway.
Yeah, with all the metal like plates and stuff everywhere.
And Dick enters.
But this... Ain't that the truth?
Praise the Dick.
I sure fucking hope so. No, God.
Just losing our shit here. I'm sorry. Sorry, go on.
Okay, so we see the kitchen by way of the lobby. We're like,
the long extension shot. Yeah, where Dick does enter.
Jack enters the lobby, and also so does Dick at the same time, because we hear Dick yelling out for family. We hear Dick yelling out for just anybody that's kind of there. Like, he's not calling out to anybody like in particular.
Well, he just
kind of like
shouts hello.
Yeah.
He's not expecting nothing. He just knows that something is going down.
Yeah, he has a feeling. Like, so we get that. Yeah, Dick is fully announcing himself, and we get that like long shot, and it comes just a little bit later than you think it is. He gets to that final pillar, and then Jack just jumps out.
Was it into the stomach or the chest?
Right into the chest.
The chest.
And we get that like up close shot of the thing going in, and then we get Danny screaming. Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
Feeling the agony.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously the impact.
That's always what I thought, though. I was like, they were like in each other's heads at that point. Danny flips out.
Yeah. When you see that scene, I mean, like, they've been building up the fact that Halloran is coming to save them.
Yeah. From
what, about 2/3 of the way movie in?
Yeah, about 40 minutes.
About 40 minutes in, and they said that Dick is going to save them. Halloran is on his way. Halloran is on his way to save the day, essentially, because now there is another person to just come in and intervene in what's happening.
Yeah.
You know? It's like waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah, like, we expect this, as an audience member, we expect this to be like, great, this is the hero, this is somebody that's going to come in and save them, and then for him to just...
And it's not anticlimactic, it's just subverted what's been building up over the last near 50 minutes of the film.
And but it's so sudden as well. It just comes out of absolute nowhere. And we get this
down on the floor, and it's done. Dead. Gone.
Just completely fucked up.
Oh.
So yeah, he's killed by an axe to the chest, but then we have Danny freak out. But then there's a shot right after Jack kills Dick, where Jack just like looks up and it's this.
Yes.
And you never even really see that referenced anywhere, but I'm like, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Because he's just gone full feral. He's like, Jack is gone, like completely gone.
The man
and he
no
calls
longer
out for
exists.
Danny. Yeah, like his fate is completely sealed.
Yeah.
This is just what it is now. Like Jack, there's no way Jack could ever be saved from this. So then he calls out for Danny, and this is a great shot. Just
Danny!
up in the Danny boy! Yeah, we see like up in the foreground, Danny crawls out of the little metal cupboard, and Jack
he runs.
just goes for him.
He runs, yeah.
And Jack now has kind of like a limp, like a weird little like Laura Dern in Jurassic
I'm actually
Park
not
limp.
sure, where did that come from?
Fell down the stairs.
He fell down the stairs, yes,
Yeah.
of course, yeah.
Fell down the stairs. So Danny is being chased, right? And then we cut to Wendy. This is Wendy's kind of final girl running around.
Okay, here we go, because I have
flappage.
too much to say about this.
Oh, okay.
You know,
so my words are, Wendy flaps up the stairs. We see, and then she sees what.
so it's the first thing. This is the first thing that she sees.
Yeah, which is so out of left field. But
No,
like,
so she goes up the
it's in the
stairs,
book.
and then she goes back down the stairs?
she goes up the stairs.
Or she
that
runs
it's
in a
not on
hallway
their
direction?
level.
I can't remember. It's not really specific.
She goes up. She goes up like a kind of tall flight of stairs. I think it's the stairs between their apartment. Oh, it is because she was still in the apartment. It's the stairs between their apartment and the next floor. And
Right.
she goes up.
Yeah.
Because when we're introduced to the apartment, there's that staircase behind them that doesn't lead to anywhere else.
When
but up
Jack
there.
is knocking down the front door.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see the stairway, yeah.
And then she looks over.
Now, still very limp-wristed.
Very, very limp-wristed. Very silent. Mouth agape. Arms on full flap. And she sees the original owner of the... Like, it's not told to us in the movie, but it is in the book that... we see the original owner totally getting head from a person in a bear costume with the ass flap open. And they both just, like...
What?
And we get that, like...
That's exactly what I was just about to say to you.
We get that score.
I mean, the shot puts you off. It doesn't horrify you. It's the sound that's behind it that
zooms
frightens
right
you.
up
That
into it. Yeah.
kind of sound.
It's so creepy.
And
I remember when I saw that as a kid. I was like, that was one of the things as a kid where like, I was like, I don't know what I'm looking at. Like, I don't know what this means. I have no reference for what this is at all. Like, I don't even think I would have understood that they were having
It's a
some
sexual
kind of
reference.
thing.
Yeah.
But I see. It seems like that when I was a kid gave this movie a reputation of like, I don't even understand why I'm afraid of this movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I also got to say, like, that bear costume, not even necessarily, it's just the mask that the person was wearing.
Yeah. It's almost got a boar face.
Yeah,
It's
like,
got two
it
big
doesn't...
tusks and a pig nose.
Its cheeks are, like, out to here.
I always kind of thought bear...
You know...
Oh my god, it's man, bear, pig.
Man, bear, pig.
So it's a half man, half bear, half pig.
Oh my god, stop.
Shout out to anybody who watches South Park. It's very
it's just so off-putting and...
Because is it a dog? Is it
It's
like a
in the book.
monster?
I know it's meant to be a wolf, and that character actually takes a more central, heavier role.
And he's not gay. He's bisexual. Get it right.
He takes a more central, heavier role. He chases Danny several times in the book. So I just think it was such a very off-putting character and rather terrifying. I know it was rather terrifying.
I kind of like
in the strangest way.
I almost like how it's never referred to before or after it happens. It's just there.
It's there.
And that's another one of the things where people are just kind of like, what the fuck was that? Because it's so completely out of left field, so completely out of nowhere. But yeah, just comes absolutely out of nowhere, which I think makes it all the more startling and completely like a mindfuck.
We have lists of things that fucking like. I mean, it's almost like Kubrick is like just like throwing like horror scene after horror scene at you, because like I mean, she comes down into it's the lobby or the reception area again, I think, and like now this to me is cheesy cheesy, like 1920s horror.
Yeah, it's most.
It's blue lighting. Now it's beautifully lit.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
It's a gorgeous
blue,
shot, but it
white,
feels like it doesn't
stark,
belong
and
in
it
the
it just the scene that we're about to describe to you. It really does not belong in it, but I can see why it's in its place where it is.
Yeah,
because of the following scene.
And I think it does add something to it, even though it's very I don't know, like Disney. It's
Disney, yeah.
It's very like a haunted mansion kind of thing, you know.
So there's
lobby, cobwebs everywhere.
There's cobwebs everywhere, and there is now they're sitting there. They're in suits and dresses, holding champagne glasses. It's just skeleton after skeleton, like all the way down the hall, like to the far back of the stairs that leads up past the Colorado Lounge. Are all these like posing, like just Disney looking pose.
I think we also see the gold room as well, completely like just a shot of it
with
completely blued out.
Yeah, it's not cohesive with what came before it or what comes after it.
But it does add to me, like this isn't made textual or whatever. Like it's not outrightly said, but
use
to
your
me,
words.
This is I'm trying. This to me is like a little bit of evidence of like this is the hotel shining to Wendy.
Yes,
like Wendy wouldn't see this without the hotel actively showing it to her.
Yeah,
like this is where the
she
hotel
would
becomes
be
a
one
character
of those,
itself.
She would be one of those people that does have it, but subconsciously can't or choose not to use it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, we've also
because
seen
Dick
like
does
in a later book as well, is that everybody has like
a bit of the shine.
A bit of the shine. Children have it the strongest because they're like they're not clouded or anything like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the idea that this is the hotel kind of being like, well, here you go. Like this is the hotel pulling back the curtain, and shows everything,
revealing its trump card. Oh fuck! Did I say Trump? So of course, I mean, from that scene, I mean, she does run out back into the lobby, sort of hallway of the lobby, like next to Ullman's office, which has the two red elevators in it.
This is where we see it.
This is where we see it. The most.
It's not yet.
What?
Mm-mm.
What?
Danny makes it back outside first.
Oh, of course, he makes it to the maze. Yes,
I got confused there as well.
That's it. Yeah.
So yeah, Danny makes it back outside as Jack is like right behind him, like on his tail, and Danny heads for the maze. Clever girl. But Jack...
I knew you'd screw that in there somewhere. You gotta get one Jurassic Park reference in there somewhere.
I've managed to slip like 3 in here without you even noticing. So, oh my god, here's another one. So Jack is now hobbling very Laura Dern in Jurassic Park.
To give context.
Shout out to paleobotanist Dr. Eddie Sattler. He's right behind him, but kind of at half speed. Behind Danny, and he's following Danny's footprints in the snow. And then this is where Wendy starts to do her quote final girl kind of circuit, where she sees Dick's dead body in the lobby, and this is where she runs into the dinner guest, who I always thought was Delbert Grady. Great party. Yeah, and he's just got there's like this one little like little spurt of blood that just comes out the center of his forehead and like down onto his face. And then we see the skeletons. But then, this is where Danny starts to be a clever girl. He starts to backtrack and like walk backwards through his own prints, which you said earlier was a reference to something.
Yeah, so this is actually exactly what I was thinking about. Sorry, just what I have the thought in my head before we just move into that snow set, is that amazing snow set, wonderfully lit.
Which was all salt and shredded styrofoam.
Fucking crazy. Is the ghost. So, the party guest, right? The one thing that I found almost insanely crazy is Kubrick single-handedly, because right up until that point, ghosts had always been seen as these glowing, almost holy, spectral
like
figures.
An apparition.
Like an apparition. Like, totally,
no
see-through, no legs, sheets, glasses. Beetlejuice reference. Hey, spoiler.
What do you like, Night of the Living Dead under there? Yeah.
And Kubrick single-handedly reshaped that whole genre after that. Is because, I mean, now you know they're ghosts now. You know they're ghosts.
Yeah.
because number one, they're dressed in garb, but they're dead.
Like this is the hotel being like, okay,
I'm showing you. Yeah. And
which is weird because when you think about it, it's like if you go by that premise and kind of by that. Sorry for interrupting. Is that the hotel's been doing it the whole time?
Yeah.
That the hotel has been holding back.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, where you go. You know, like that's
I'm
the only reason
gonna,
Wendy
I'm
didn't
gonna
see anything.
Throw everything but the kitchen sink at you now.
Exactly. Like, that's why Wendy didn't get to see anything. Is because the hotel didn't let her, which I think is great when you look at it, because then the hotel becomes
at this point,
an actual character.
Yeah,
itself.
because at this point, like the hotel, I want to say the hotel. I mean, the ghost expected Jack to have killed her at this point.
Yeah, they're like
the ghost is now just like, the hotel is like, okay, well, you know, all hats are off now at this point,
go
so
for broke,
go for it.
This bitch. Yeah.
So like, I just think like the whole reinvention, because Kubrick did it, he reinvented the word ghost with his characters from The Shining,
which is weird. I almost never think of The Shining as a ghost movie, which is kind of ridiculous when you think about it, but like
so what I was referencing earlier, so I kind of said it earlier, was with reference to the poster that was in the is it the games room?
Oh, the Minotaur.
So like it looked like a Minotaur. Now this is Kubrick trying to hint at what's happening towards the end of the film. So it's like a foreshadowing, right? Because obviously the maze is in front of Nicholson's character during the whole thing, and he knows the maze inside out. Blah,
like
blah,
everything
X, Y,
to the
and
movie
Z.
has led up to the maze.
The labyrinth. So this is where I wanted to introduce the sort of the mythology of where Kubrick's mind clearly went, was into the poet Ovid's tale of the Minotaur. And basically
a great story.
Theseus goes into the labyrinth and he takes a ball of string with him in. So he ties it to a pole, or I think it's a tree, outside the labyrinth so he can find his way back out. Danny does the same thing, but he does it with his steps. He retraces his steps. He leads his father to his doom, to his death.
So smart. So smart as a kid.
And did it.
Yeah.
You know? So I just thought, like, the sort of the hints that Kubrick was throwing in the whole time was fantastic. And that way it does lead you very systematically almost to the maze itself. Yeah. And like obviously to the climax of the film.
Like would always end up here. Yeah.
Yeah. Danny is in there. Now this maze, can I just say, at nighttime with all that fake snow,
stunning,
beautiful, and like the
but also
breath,
very hot.
Very hot.
Because all of the I actually read yesterday.
The lights.
Just doing smart. Yeah, the lobby completely burnt down because of the sheer amount of lights that they had to have focused on the outside to make it look like a bleached out snowy day. They had to pump light into there, which also became a set piece for Indiana Jones, where the snake pit that he goes, where he's like, why did it have to be snakes? That's the lobby. That's
no way.
It's the Colorado room from The Shining. Yeah, completely repurposed after it burnt.
Shit. Like I would not.
I love little moments like that, where like next time you watch Raiders of the Lost Ark, you're like, oh shit, yeah,
there's that.
Yeah, I heard stories of from set of people running around on the maze and stuff like that, having to just strip their clothes off afterwards because they were scorching. Because the amount of lights and the fact that like none of it is actually
Wasn't
snow.
there a fire on at some of that time?
That's what I mean. Though the lobby was fucked. That's what they're like. Okay, right, just refurbish it.
Oh no, I meant like in some of the shots, like the fire is lit in the Colorado Lounge because there's a fireplace there.
Yeah.
Oh. So anyway,
this is where we
get
tangent. This is where we get the scene.
This is where we
get the full uninterrupted elevator scene, where we see just like an ocean of blood just spill out all over this fucking lobby.
That blood is so like the wave of blood like spurting forth from
very
that
expensive.
elevator.
Very expensive shot because Kubrick didn't want dyed water or something that looked like blood. He used like literally just gallons upon gallons upon gallons, hundreds of thousands of gallons. Well, obviously not, but so much stage blood. Like he wanted it to flow, and it's that like dark blood,
gloopy black blood.
I love it so much. And then it does that like great like where it hits both sides of the wall, and you see it just kind of splatter.
I do love the fact when you see even the furniture start to slightly move and turn with the wave.
And they did that. Like,
horrible.
I think they filmed that a total of 3 times.
Fuck.
They set it back up 3 times because Kubrick wasn't satisfied with it, and it took like them a whole year to like get everything completely right.
Yeah.
But I couldn't even imagine the fucking amount of work that had to go into that fucking shot. Like, holy shit. But it paid off.
It's just crazy.
I think the trailer for the Blu-ray when they released it as a remaster was just that.
Oh, yeah.
It was just the blood scene and nothing else.
It didn't need anything. Like, I mean, of course, that image is so iconic that literally nothing else of that needs explanation. And you know instantly what that is, where it's from, who directed it, you know immediately. Yeah. Like, there's no alternative to it, factly.
They did a great, did you see Ready Player One?
No, I didn't. But actually, I know there's a huge amount of pop culture references.
There is, but one of them in particular is The Shining. There's a whole Shining segment or whatever like that where the elevator opens up and then it literally becomes a giant river of blood where like the characters are being like floated through it and everything is there. Mrs. Massey is in the blood and everything, but it's great. Highly recommend it if you love pop culture and stuff like that.
Well, I'm partial, I suppose.
So yeah, at this point Jack is starting to really break down physically and is starting to slow and become belligerent.
He's getting colder. He's clutching his jacket.
Yeah, like we're starting to think that he's gone into hypothermia. He's clutching his chest, and he can't even like pick the axe.
He's just mindlessly like not even shouting, but just like
like
he can't even talk anymore.
Yeah, he's a complete animal.
There's no articulation there. It's just mindless rage and murderous intent.
Like he's not even a person
like just
anymore.
Driving him through that labyrinth.
Yeah. And Danny eventually makes it out after successfully evading Jack.
By retracing his steps and covering up.
And covering them up as well. Yeah. Like
what I do love is, I think I even mentioned it earlier, was the fact that due to Jack's wandering murderous intent, he loses his own backtracking.
Yeah, because Jack turns around and gets himself all fucked up.
And he gets lost.
Yeah, completely fucks himself over.
Ultimately.
So yeah, then we get to...
Wendy comes running out. She discovers
Wendy gets
Halloran's dead body.
Yeah.
She runs by, she gets out. She just obviously finds the snow cap, but she finds
You can see
Danny
like the
first.
door of the hotel and... like the front door of the hotel and everything is like completely snowed up. She has to like...
Yeah, she just force it open. Yeah.
And then... hard cut. Jack's dead.
Yeah. I do love that kind of... that string work.
Yeah.
That just one...
Yeah, like with the little like bit of reverberation on it.
Yeah.
And Jack is just there.
With his teeth grinded,
slightly
eyes frozen upwards, like
completely,
icicles.
Completely
died of
still
exposure. Clutching his jacket. And the axe he's still holding it sitting down in front of him.
Yeah. And, like right before that, I love that he hears Danny and Wendy get into the snowcat and then you can tell he's kind of just like,
well, shit.
It's over.
Yeah.
Like he lets himself die. So we get to, it's not the final shot, but it's Jack is completely dead, frozen, blue. Like he's blue. It's great.
White, completely pale.
But it's such a good shot. It's just the like ding, like the hard cut. And then we get to the gold room.
So
we're in the back of the gold room.
It's
like the bar is to our back.
There's a continuous panning shot.
Into like a
part
dissolve.
Of it's a continuous dissolve from one room to the next into the gold bar.
Yeah.
And then it's a slow close up. Well, it's a wide shot, but it's a slow closing up to a photo frame of, I think it's a New Year party?
No, it's 1921 4th of July ball.
4th of July, yes, of course.
4th of July ball with Jack front and centre.
And it just slowly fades.
As
to Jack's face.
Exactly, as we
with
have.
a huge grin on his face.
Midnight, the stars, and new plays as credits roll.
Oh my god.
Of The Shining.
Like, I mean...
And we have Jack in... I saw this out. I don't think this was intentional, but his arms are almost in a Baphomet stance. He's got one up.
You just wanted to work that in. I knew you did.
But I never, like... What? Ever, man. We can talk about the Holocaust. I can talk about the devil. But yeah. What a... Yeah. Credits roll.
Yeah.
And we have that final song.
That movie. I mean, Can we just talk about like the whole kind of influence real quick on how that movie has like shaped not only just like pop culture but the horror scene itself?
Yeah, like kind of I don't know, one of those that like made
you know what I mean? The 100 greatest scariest
seriously.
moments. Number one was voted The Shining.
I thought it was Jaws.
No, number one was The Shining. Yeah, I watched
that
it the other day.
that I disagree with. Because
if you think a shark is scarier than fucking
Nathan,
The Shining,
okay.
you can go die.
Okay, Jaws is the single most influential horror movie that's ever happened. Nobody goes in the fucking ocean anymore because of Jaws. People don't. When you go swimming in the ocean, what do you think of? You think of Jaws. When I go to a hotel, I don't think like this elevator better not be fucking full of blood.
It better get off
again.
on the third floor.
Yeah.
So I did want to do like a little like, you know, kind of funny little moment is it's just a really interesting fact is just like there's two really cool reverses that I wanted to point out. So, but
fucking fans of this documentary.
Room 237, what? That is, if you watch the film in reverse with the film also playing forwards, right? It's very, very interesting.
Some movies shouldn't be this hard to fucking watch.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I do think like it should be pointed out because I think it's absolutely so interesting.
Yeah, I actually really did like the point you made earlier.
So there's two shots in particular that meet up as you play the film in reverse and as you play it forwards together. Two shots that are so crazy to me that makes me even think, did Kubrick really do this shit intentionally? Because it's unbelievably crazy. Yeah. So the first thing, which will blow your mind, is the wide shot, the long hallway shot of the Grady twins.
Yeah.
Now, this is not the one where they're chopped up. It's just them standing there.
Yeah.
Hand in hand. If you reverse the film, you get a shot of Wendy dead center where their hands lock.
Yeah.
Right in the center. Now, to me, that says so much because, number one, the Gradys are obviously children.
Yeah.
And she's the mother figure. So on her mind constantly, not to mention the hotel floor that Danny sees the Grady twins on is the same floor that their hotel room is on. Yeah. So it's immediately connecting her motherly love to the twins to Danny. It's a huge mental connection.
Yeah, but the Grady stayed in the Torrance's room.
They stayed in the exact same room, exactly.
Space.
And then the other one, which I think will really like just totally fuck with your head, right, is the shot of Jack, like you said earlier, with the murderous intent look, where he's bent forward, his eyes are piercing through the heavy brows.
This is the stare.
This is the berserker stare, the Kubrick stare.
Yeah.
And when you reverse that shot, right, when you play that scene in reverse as you play the film forwards, that shot matches up exactly timed, where on Jack's forehead, Grady and Jack are conspiring in the red bathroom behind the gold room.
Yeah.
The wide shot between the red bathroom stalls and the mirrors, I just thought was absolutely mind blowing to think of, because you really begin to get a sense that, like, even with like you said earlier, like Tom Cruise when he was working on Eyes Wide Shut, he was still working on this shit.
Yeah.
So like you really gotta, like, you know, it opens up your brain. Yeah. You know, to the intelligence and the power.
But I love it that it's like still
movie.
There is no like, yes, you're correct. That is what this means.
Exactly.
There's
it's
no
open to interpretation.
He's very like kind of David Lynch in that way, where it's like, you figure it out.
Yeah. He
it's
leaves
not for me
it
to
to
tell you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that David Lynch got asked what did he said Eraserhead was his most spiritual movie, and the interviewer goes, elaborate on that, and he goes, no. And that's it, and that's just it, you know, like, I'll give you a little bit of something, but like the art of it is you figure it out. It's for you to figure it out for you. Like, I love that.
That's
and yet
honestly,
here we are 40 years later,
we're still trying to interpret our, not necessarily our own way, but give even you guys like the, like, you know, the curiosity to interpret it in your way.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, we could interpret it one way and then you could, and then...
But, like, my interpretation changes
listener.
of it every time. Only...
Exactly.
My most recent viewing last night was where I kind of realized, like, oh my God, like we kind of came to the conclusion there, like, Wendy never got to see any of that because the hotel was holding back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the hotel was also shining. Like, I never kind of, like, put that together until last night, even though I've seen this movie a million
times. Huge.
I love it. I love movies like that where there's always something else to be like...
more intelligent.
Yeah, it's just something else.
You know?
All you elevated horror fans, pay attention.
Damn right. Darn tootin'. So, yeah.
That was The Shining.
That was The Shining. You know, Kubrick's 1980 masterwork.
Yeah.
Masterclass in horror cinema.
Paragon,
you know,
of horror.
Like I said earlier, like, The Shining would be... Like, if we had a pantheon of gods, like, The Shining would be Zeus-level god, you know? Like, that would be right
Somebody's
up there.
been reading Greek literature, okay?
You know, I gotta say it. I gotta say it, you know? It's undeniable.
Yeah.
You know, you can't say that that Kubrick, you know, didn't do a bad job. He did excellently. He worked hard and he did well.
Literally, no matter what anybody says, like Stephen King legendarily hated this because it was... People say that it's not a faithful adaptation to the book, which I think is a good thing. Because the book is, in my opinion, inferior to the movie. Mm-hmm. This is just one of those instances where the movie is just better than the book. Mm-hmm. You can disagree with me if you want to.
Can I just say, this is actually something that I completely forgot to mention, but you could say it's like really on the nose. This one shot, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I say it, is the shot where is it Dick is on his way to collect the snowcat, and there's an overturned truck under a crushed red bug. Yeah. And I'm just like, is this...
That's Kubrick saying fuck you.
That is like 100%. That is Kubrick. Like, just for context,
see, I love
the book did say that the car should be red, and it's the exact same car as the Torrances arrive in, but that's yellow. Yeah. So to me, that is a big middle finger to King.
Like,
and he knew that.
And that's the thing. I understand completely why King was kind of like taken aback, because King allegedly was like very excited that because King was still only on his third novel. The Shining was kind of the novel that like cemented him as a horror writer. Exactly. So he was kind of like shopping it around, like, my next movie is going to be directed by Stanley Kubrick, the guy who did Clockwork Orange and like the rest. And wait, who did you say was the screenwriter that he took on with him?
The screenwriter was Diane. Oh my God, her name, Diane Johnson.
Right. Mm-hmm. When that came about, they said that King submitted a script to us, but Kubrick said that he got a serious literature or a serious writer to come on and write a thing, which is basically like King can't write for shit.
You know what I mean? He can't write an ending, let's be fair.
No, and I love King. I genuinely love Stephen King, but like,
to be fair,
when it comes to this movie in particular,
nailed it.
Stanley
definitely better. Sorry.
Stanley did that.
Sorry about it.
Period.
So yeah, that is
The Shining.
That is our retrospective. That is our review, our breakdown, our love letter to Stanley Kubrick. You know, I mean...
And who knows, maybe one day we'll do Dr. Sleep.
We'll do Dr. Sleep. We could go back and do Clockwork Orange, you know.
I would love to do Clockwork Orange.
We might do a few things, but, you know, you'll have to wait and see. So, thanks, Lee.
Thanks, Nathan. Like and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you find all good podcasts.
Yeah. Let us know what you think, what you want to see, what you like, and, of course, you know, let there be many more episodes.
Thank you. We've been
They're Here podcast.